to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air, testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks. We'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with ease. So if your meetings lag, or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in a fun, engaging way. We're zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We've got your back, no wreck. We've got your back, no wreck. These lyrics capture the essence of what the Zoom Test Kitchen does, focusing on testing and teaching about Zoom functionalities in the fun, engaging way.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. I'm your co-host, Mike Latta. David will be joining us momentarily. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. And as I said, welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen. Glad you could join us, and we will be having Andy Carluccio from Zoom joining us momentarily to talk about all the new things that he has coming up and released actually this week on Zoom ISO. On that note, we have a whole bunch of Zoomies with us, and we have a whole bunch of our Zoom Test Kitchen crew here. So let me go around and say hello to Mr. Peter Sargent. How are you, Pete?
Good. I'm doing good today. As I was commenting earlier to some folks, it's 98 degrees here with feels like 102 Fahrenheit, sometimes known as 39 and 35 and 39 if you're using the other scale.
if you're using that other scale. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is
The
that
one that the one the rest of the world uses.
right.
I'm
Exactly.
tempted. I'm tempted to quote it in Kelvin going forward, just to confuse people.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. Excellent. Good to see you, Pete. And the next person I'm going to is the next one that was in the room, and he's in the top. Robert, welcome from Poland.
Hi, good evening. I'm looking forward to this session and going back to Fahrenheit in Poland, in the north of Poland, in Gdańsk. That is Fahrenheit's home, where when you go around for a tour there, the tour guide says, and these are the kitchen utensils that he used with all of his testing, and that he used actually to get rid of his parents because of mercury poisoning.
Wonderful. Wonderful. All right. Very cool. Good to see you, Robert. Next, we got Andy, and I'll be very specific.
Me?
Yeah, you, Andy. Andy
Not-
Lehman.
not-
How you doing,
Not
bud?
the Andy that everyone's here for today.
That's right.
Not that Andy.
Not that Andy yet. Yeah.
Hi guys, how's it going? Doing well today. Yeah, just hanging out here to see all the new stuff in Zoom ISO.
Excellent. Cool. Good to see you, Andy L. I'll go with Andy L right now. That's the safest right now. And we've got someone else. So I'm going to the UK now. I'm going to start with Leo in the UK. Welcome, Leo. He's not in the car, guys. He's not in the car.
I'm not in the car. No, I'm not actually today. So that makes a change, doesn't it?
That's it. That's cool. Good to see you, bud.
And you? And you? All well. All well. We have rain here, so we haven't had it for a long time, so it's quite novel to have rain.
Yeah. And I'm going to go to the other person that I know very well from the UK, my partner in crime during the week, Mr. Drinkwater from the UK. Is it raining where you are, specifically in your part of the UK?
Yes, sir. We've had little. I don't need much. I think 4 millimeters is enough for me to grab all I need to fill up all my water butts. So I'm happy. And just great to be a passenger on a show for a change rather than running them all week. So keep up the good work, Mike.
All righty, sir. Thank you. And we're still going around because we've got a lot of panelists today, gang. A lot of them. So this is going to take a little bit. So everybody be short. And I'm going to say hi next to my other partner from Canada. Frank, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah. Exactly. All right. And over to my co-community champion, Mr. Ray. How you doing, Mr. Ray Harwood?
I'm hot, thank you. It's 43 Celsius. I'll start out for you guys. 109 here in Phoenix, Arizona.
We don't want it. We don't want it that warm. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Good to see you, Ray. All right. Let me see. Who haven't I talked to yet? Jeffrey, welcome. Say hi to everybody.
Hello. This is my first time here.
Excellent. Cool. Good to see you joining us. And hopefully you learned a lot about Zoom ISO today. And if you're already a Zoom ISO user, you'll enjoy what's happening right now with the new additions, new features. Cool. Good to see you. Dan, you're new to me as well. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you. I saw Andy's post on LinkedIn, and so I came over here. I am in Southern California where the leaf blowers blow, as they are now, but you probably can't hear them thanks to Zoom's noise isolation, or maybe you can.
No, actually, I'm not hearing anything. So that's
perfect. It worked well then.
Cool. So welcome. Excellent. All right. I will go to Tamara. Tamara.
Hello.
Say hi to
hello.
everybody.
How are you today?
Doing good. Doing good. I'm keeping up with everybody. Mr. David is still not joining us as of yet.
I
So I'm
refuse
hoping-
to look at the temperature, so I don't have an exact reading of what it is. I just know it's hot, and I refuse to quantify that with a number.
Yeah. I've been keeping tabs of the.
It's
the
also
heat wave in
humid,
California.
which
Yeah.
I disagree with. I feel
Yes,
that
we-
when I'm in New York, I completely understand it. When I'm in Los Angeles, I have some words for someone.
Words. Yes. That should not be said on YouTube or Zoom. I understand. that.
Correct. Clean check.
Correct. Yeah, exactly. Cool. Thanks. All right. Who's up next? All right. Tony Mobley. Say hi to everybody, Tony. Hit that mute button. Hit that mute button one more time, Tony. Attaboy.
Greetings.
There he is.
Greetings. And like Frank, let's go.
That's it. Let's go. And I'm saying hi to Rohit and YouTube. And I trust me, YouTube audience. I'll be back to you as soon as David joins us, and I'll be able to chat with you more. Next up, Lois. Say hello to everybody.
Hello to everybody. Let's go.
All right. All right. We got a theme. The let's go. Yeah.
Good enough.
We're going with the let's go theme. Excellent. All right, cool. So who is up next? Trevor, you're new. Welcome.
Hello. Likewise, similar to Dan, saw Andy's post on LinkedIn, so joining for the first time. Thank you.
Excellent. Welcome. All right. Hasmuth, I'm grabbing you before you go to sleep on us, so come on in.
Yeah, hi. I've been knocked out with the influenza, but I wouldn't miss this for anything. So I'm going to slumber into bed and just listen.
Yep. Not a problem. Good to see you. Not a problem. All right. I'm going to leave the Zoomies to last, Andy and Jonathan, so stick with me, okay, guys? And who am I going up with next? Julie. Juju, say hi to everybody quickly.
Hi everybody.
All right, Ju. Good to see you. All right. Who haven't I seen as of yet? We haven't seen Chris yet, but he's off camera. Roland's off camera currently, and Andre's off camera. Chris, you got camera? Come on in. Chris, say hi to everybody.
I have camera. Hello, everybody. It's been a while since I've been on the test kitchen. Dave Brady told me, my teammate told me to come here, so that's why I'm here. I just do what Dave tells me to do.
Attaboy. Yeah. Dave's usually with us. Dave's another one that, like Leo, usually goes from the car. Exactly. Cool. Good to see it. All right. So who am I down to? Roland, I know you're probably busy. So Andre, I don't know if you have camera, but if you do, come say hi. And
no
Eddie,
camera,
welcome.
but hi, good evening.
Hello, Andrew. And Andre, sorry. All right, cool. And here, just in time,
Eddie. Yeah.
as I snuck through with everybody. Oh, and he's doing this to me, which means
I'm just giving you trouble. Hi, everyone. Hey, hey ho.
He snuck in.
I stuck in. Mike, do you want to keep going and like you can introduce the Zoomies if you want. Go for it.
Well, no, you do it.
All right.
You invited David, or you invited Andy in the game.
Actually, Andy invited me.
Okay,
Andy
that's good.
Carluccio, the chief awesome dude at Zoom, is here with his unbelievable sidekick, Jonathan. So good to see you guys here. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks so much for having us. And thank you all for taking time on your Friday to come hang out with us in the Zoom Test Kitchen. That's really awesome that you're all taking the time to be here, and we super appreciate it. And yeah,
back.
That's right. Talk back. That's the name of the game today. Yep.
Wow. All right. Take it away.
Yep. So we have been quite busy this summer. As you know, we've had our Zoom ISO V3 beta program rolling since a couple weeks before NAB this year. And in that time between now and I guess Monday of this week, we've shipped over 200 features and enhancements in Zoom ISO. So we've been extremely busy with things that we've been adding into that software through releases that we've had throughout the summer. But the big one that we dropped today was 75 new items on Monday with the this set of features around the audio flexibility and video flexibility around using Zoom ISO. So when we talk about Zoom ISO, we typically position it as join a Zoom meeting, break it apart into the individual video and audio streams, and then export it out into third-party systems, NDI, SDI, 2110, Siphon, Dante, independent audio channels going into a mixer, all the sorts of things that make Zoom possible for remote contribution. You know, it's the flagship of the Zoom for Broadcast platform. But one of the things that has continuously come up as we've been pushing the industry towards what we call multi-party contribution is, you know, we've been saying that we believe that the best way to bring in remote guests is to get them together on a Zoom meeting, bring a tool in and pull out that content. Whereas the way a lot of these studios have worked have been individual one-on-one calls bridged at mix minus in studio with return feeds to each guest independently. That has higher latency. That's also more complex for the individual callers because all the audio has to come to the studio, be mixed, and come back. So it's double the latency of just sitting in a Zoom meeting together. And that can cause things like people stepping on each other when they're talking on a panel or things like that. But this was the workflow that Skype TX had really pioneered back in the early 2000s, 2012. You know, those quick link boxes, the new tech talk show boxes. That's how they worked. They basically did all the bridging in hardware. And then Zoom introduced this multi-party contribution model with Zoom ISO. And the main remaining item that had been missing in that workflow was the ability to send independent audio back to the remote guests. Obviously, we can, my microphone right here, you're all hearing me as a pool, right? But maybe I want to be able to speak to Mike or David, or say, you know, that Jonathan's slightly off center and he's, you know, shift a little bit. I want to give that audio note directly to that individual. That's not possible without interrupting the conversation that we'd be having here if we just put that into the main meeting mic. Now, yeah, you can use chat, you can use other things, but they don't always get their attention. You can't be guaranteed that that's going to happen. So producers have been asking us for a way to be able to send that audio back independently to the individual participants that are being pulled in. And that's what we've created in the TalkBack system. So the TalkBack system is designed to be able to give one-way audio to remote guests that you've set up in Zoom ISO, and they hear it privately. So other participants don't hear the audio that you're sending them. You have a kind of full routing table to control audio from your end that you route back to the guests. Now, there's two ways of setting this up. One way is Zoom ISO is the final mile of a larger audio system. So maybe you buy from Riedel, or you have some other like Dante-based comm system, or you've invested in some IFB infrastructure for your studio. So you already have a solution for being able to bring communications audio around your studio. And you need Zoom ISO to act as the final mile to deliver audio channels from that system to the remote guest. The other way of doing it is a way I think a lot of you have used it, where there's an operator, producer sitting in front of Zoom ISO, and they're there managing the meeting, they're there managing the talent, and they want to hit a talk button on each participant and be able to send their local microphone audio to that person. Zoom ISO supports both workflows, and I'll show you how to set that up today. But I think that, you know, I would highly recommend taking a look at the overall changelog for Zoom ISO, especially in this release, as there's so many things, even more than just the TalkBack system. And I've put a link to the download area with all of the individual changelog items. I'm happy to talk about any of these or any of the changelog items even from previous releases, because while TalkBack is definitely the flagship and the whole new audio input workflow system is there are so many other enhancements across what we've done with video loss mode. Now you can make that individual per channel if you needed a fallback profile picture that's different for each guest or something like that. We have AJA hardware support for their NTV2 devices like the Kona and the Corvid series. We have a new built-in OSC command browser, which is super helpful for those of you who are using it for automation and integrating it into your companion, or you're writing your own scripting to be able to automate Zoom, and just a ton of other quality of life things that we've gotten requests on, improvements to screen share handling, all sorts of things like that. So it's a pretty comprehensive release. I'm happy to demo or take questions or whatever order you want to go through this. But maybe if we could start, if Jonathan has any other top of mind that he wants to set for this one, and then we can dive in.
Yeah, looking forward to showcasing a bit more about the UI changes. A lot of care and attention has been put into taking a workflow that was already pretty good and really massaging it into something that we feel very has both a compelling structure for how these features need to be used, but also fantastic platform for continued innovation in these certain elements as well. So TalkBack in the audio is going to be great to showcase and to see the features there. You know, but don't sleep on the OSC commands as well. So we did put a lot of good work into how the browser will display those commands within the Zoom ISO application. And the hope is that this can make it easier to work with that API. I know OSC can be daunting to scroll through the documentation, find the right commands, make sure your syntax is working well. So the command browser is a great thing to look at as well.
Definitely. So how do you want to do this, David? Should we do questions, or do you want to see a demo at TalkBack?
Let's start with a demo, and then we'll the questions will stack up.
Sounds good. So I'm going to share my screen here and I'll show you my Zoom ISO interface. So you should be able to see that now. You see my Zoom ISO Zoom meeting over here on the right-hand side and then the Zoom ISO interface over here on the left. I'm going to kick on the output engine, David, so you're going to get a permission request here in a moment. That's just so I can route some of the participant videos on the output side. Thank you for that. If you've used the Zoom ISO v3 interface before, you know this is your main surface area for doing your output routing. So for example, I could grab David's video here and just be advised that this is I'm joining today from like my main work system that has a whole lot of other stuff going on in the background. So all of the like some of the quality related things will probably not be optimal. I have it routed through my VPN and stuff like that, but it just makes it easier. You know how sometimes when you demo Zoom inside of Zoom, it's helpful to have some extra things on the side to make that happen. So that's what I'm doing today. The main changes happen inside of the audio table, but real quick, I just wanted to highlight that we've now broken out direct inputs in this area. So you can set up, if you want to pull in an SDI feed or an NDI feed directly, you still have this area, but the main changes are going to be in the main audio tab, which we've now subdivided into outputs and inputs. If I go to the input area and I add a device, I'll start by adding my black hole 16 channel audio device. This is a stand-in for that first workflow I talked about, where there might be some larger audio infrastructure here that just ends up on this Mac as a multi-channel audio device. But you can pull sources off of embedded audio and SDI feeds or NDI feeds. I'm going to keep it simple and just use a Mac OS audio device and add it into my table here. I'm also going to navigate to my settings area and I'm going to set up a couple of things. But the first thing I want to flag is this experimental warning here that says see documentation for details. I'm going to give you a demo today, but I highly recommend if you're going to set this up, read the manual. We put a lot of work into explaining all the individual settings, how they work, what we imagine the workflow to be. So I highly would recommend checking out the documentation on this. But for this demo, I'm going to turn on the talkback feature. And my Zoom ISO client is going to need the co-host or host permission. Co-host will be fine in this meeting. So Mike, if you don't mind just tossing that on the Zoom ISO-Andy, that will satisfy that requirement. And then this reveals a number of settings down here. I won't go into all of them right now because we can keep this pretty simple in the beginning and just leave everything at the defaults. We also have this selector up top for audio management mode. I could touch this. I could change this to Zoom ISO Manage. I can explain more about what that does in a minute. But this is kind of the configuration I imagine would be used if you were tying this into a bigger audio system. Now I'm going to pick on David here. So what I'm going to do is I have this this little mini app over here called Multi-Deck that I'm just going to start playing audio into all the channels of that audio device, a couple different AI generated talk tracks and some music channels. This is just to simulate, again, that larger audio system, bringing audio into my computer that I can do that all locally on this end here. And what I'm going to do now is I have a couple of routing controls. So first I need to get that co-host on the Zoom ISO instance. So Zoom ISO-Andy, I might need
Yeah,
David
I
to
did
do
that already.
Yeah. No, I don't see that.
To his Zoom ISO Andy, not to him.
Yeah, I know. I did. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, it's not shown in the participant. There it goes. Thank you very much.
And just think in the future, they can just have that conversation in the background.
Yeah, exactly. So this would be now where I can do my input routing table. So you have 4 outputs going across the top here. In this case, I set up 3 of them. One of them is David. And I have the option to tick a box here to create a route. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, let me think of the best way to do this. I'm going to play audio to David by ticking this box. So it's going to take the first audio track and I'm going to keep talking while I send this audio to David by either latching the first channel or by going over to his video card and holding down the talk button. And then David should hear that and he'll hear the rest of the meeting suppressed. So I'm going to hit the latch button and I'm going to keep talking to David and David should hear the audio on this channel. So here we go. So now I'm still talking in the meeting and we should have David receiving one-way audio and seeing a passive banner notification that corresponds to that channel as soon as I unmute here. So it should be going through now to David and he hears the one-way audio and he hears the meeting underneath us at like 40% volume. And then as soon as I release this channel, he's going to stop hearing that audio and the meeting is going to come back up to full volume. Was that your experience, David?
Exactly the experience. Yep.
Great. And I can do that for a couple different people. So if I wanted to, I could say that we're going to give Mike a different conversation and we'll give maybe Peter another conversation here. So let's just roll these all at the same time. And now I will latch on these channels and I'll continue speaking. And the 3 of you should be hearing one-way audio and you should be hearing different one-way audio between the 3 of you. So when I'll turn that off now for all of you and you can tell me what you heard, and they should all be different.
Yeah. Mine was a lady talking AI. Andy, does that sound right?
Yeah.
Mine was talking about flowers.
And I think David's talking about like a market or something, like going shopping at the food market or something like that. So all three of you heard different unique audio that was routed coming in from this Zoom ISO instance. And again, that audio is any multi-channel audio device that's on this system, or any audio that's embedded into an SDI feed or embedded into an NDI feed. It can even be audio that's aggregated across and spread across multiple different devices. So if you have multiple SDI feeds coming into the computer, you could pick off those channels and pick audio off of that. We did make some enhancements to the way that this table is displayed here. So I can actually deselect channels I'm not using and hide them from the table routes in this area. So you have the option just to clean that up a little bit if you don't need to see all the excess. SDI has 16 channels per, but a lot of the time only the first 2 channels carry anything relevant. So you could hide the rest of that if you wanted to, or you can embed everything in there. That's the crux of that bigger audio workflow. Now, the other way that we can do this, I'm going to delete that, and I'm going to add the same audio interface that I'm using to speak to the meeting. So bear with me here for a second. I'm going to leave computer audio on my main Andy Carluccio Zoom instance. I'm going to switch over to the Zoom ISO instance here. So I'm going to mute myself on this end and move my audio over to that end. That's because I ticked the wrong channel box. My audio interface has audio on the first 2 channels, but I'm plugged into the right channel versus the left channel. So if I read my own meters, I would tick the second channel and know that you could hear me now. All right. So now the other way of configuring this is that if I were to just tick horizontally across here, everybody would get my audio, but the problem would be that the meeting would be getting the same audio as the talkback, and it would sound double. Let's try that for a second, David. I'm going to turn this on, and now you're going to hear me twice because you're hearing me through the meeting duct and you're hearing me on the direct talkback channel, which may not be what you want. So instead, the way we're going to fix that is we're going to use one of these advanced settings here called suppress meeting mic when talkback is active. This means that when I'm talking to David, you all in the meeting are not going to hear me. So I'm going to go over here and you'll see me clicking the talkback button. You will stop hearing my mic and David will hear me. And then as soon as I release that button, everybody else hears me and it comes back up for David in the main meeting pool. So if I'm a solo producer and I'm just sitting in front of my computer with my USB mic and I want to be able to talk to somebody and not have that go into the meeting at the same time as I'm doing everything else, you can see how you can adjust the settings here to support multiple types of different workflows to make this happen. So hopefully that's a lot of information, but I hope that all makes sense in terms of how this works. Again, you're taking audio from your system and you're passing it back to Zoom and you're directing it at individual people that you've set up inside of Zoom ISO. Yeah, happy to. I'm going to switch back to the other computer here, and then I'm happy to take any questions on that, or Jonathan can tell me what I forgot to talk about.
That was when you switched the audio. He can't hear it now, probably, but when the audio switched from in the meeting to the talk back to the meeting, I could not tell. It was just buttery smooth. There was no indication that anything had changed. Jonathan, do you want to jump in and share anything?
In just a moment, I can share the SDI direct input. This is another great capability if you are using SDI for all of your workflow and you want to bring the program return back to the talent. So I'll set that up and I'll share that in just a second. But I did want to make sure that we covered talkback and the questions around it. You know, as Andy showed, it's an extremely powerful feature. You do have to pay attention to how you set it up, right? Take the time, do thorough testing, make sure your routing is correct. It's a very complicated feature that it's very easy to forget to check one box or to route the audio in the wrong direction, and that could lead to some pretty significant issues that even your remote audience might hear, again, if you set it up wrong. But once you set it up correctly and persistently, then you have something reliable that you're ready to go with that series of comms, either bridging into your existing network or with your individual microphone. It's a very robust implementation, and we'll be continuing to roll out additional client support on the Zoom side So initially we have support in the Zoom desktop clients, but we're going to be continuing to support this, the receiving side, through the web clients and other mobile as well going forward in the future.
Yep. Real quick, because you mentioned that. So as soon as I read this release, I'm working on a little side project, and I decided, TalkBack. So I implemented TalkBack in my tool, and I had the option of using Zoom, because if you all are building this in Zoom ISO, that means it's in the Zoom SDK somewhere.
That's
so
right.
Can you mention how other folks can also get their claws into this and build it into their own tools?
You're totally right, David, that one of the key principles of building Zoom ISO is that we first build things into the developer platform, and then Zoom ISO uses the third-party developer platform that we offer to offer that functionality to everybody else. So you're absolutely right that this was no exception to that. So this was introduced in Meeting SDK 7.0.0 back in March. And we had contacted all the developers in the broadcast market segment directly and said that this was coming, and we worked with them on giving them sample code that was based on what we were doing in Zoom ISO, so they could be prepared to launch this feature when they're ready. The Neural Net Live to Air Z product also supports TalkBack. They released that update recently. And that's another one that I'm aware of in the space that does it. And I know that many other developers they wanted to look at the Zoom ISO release and figure out exactly how we did our user interface and what we labeled different things in order to be consistent with that. But they are actively working at that as well. So it's in the SDKs. Anybody can take advantage of it. One of the things we're really proud about with Zoom ISO is that it doesn't do anything that anybody else can't do. It doesn't have any kind of special access to Zoom that third parties don't have through our developer platform. So everything you see this app do, any third-party developer can do as well.
Amazing. And I know that Andy's already mentioned it, brought it up to the guys over at Ecamm to see if we can get it over there. Yeah, fantastic. Let's, John, are you okay, Jonathan, if we do a couple questions, then we throw it over to you? Is that cool?
Go ahead.
Fantastic. Dan, go for it.
I'm assuming that those conversations that are happening through TalkBack do not make it into like the AI or the transcription. Is that a safe assumption?
Yeah, they're
of the
not
meeting?
going into the general meeting pool. That's where the audio that gets pulled out via like an RTMS if you're using a third-party bot or My Notes or things like that. The only thing that I would watch out for is some of the bots. The way they work is they hook off of your speaker output on your machine. And if that were the case, then because your speaker output hears the audio, it would be captured as a note on the receiver side. So it does depend a little bit on how you have it set up. But generally, no. If you have a bot that is listening to the meeting pool audio and it is not the recipient of one-way audio, it will not capture that audio.
Robert, go for it.
Once again, overwhelmed by what you're talking about. Thank you very much, and Andy and Jonathan and your whole team. Question, of course, to do with interpretation, because as soon as I saw this, the idea that came to my mind was we have a feedback channel in which we can communicate with the interpreters when, of course, they're not interpreting because they're listening to something else at that time. But so the question is, will it work for the interpreters when they have the interpretation role? That's one thing that I need to test, obviously. And secondly, at the moment, you've stated that it's limited to 4 channels. Are there plans to extend that?
Yes. So on the interpreter role, the way I understand the interpreter role, it gives them control of kind of where their audio is delivered, so which language they speak into, which Zoom ISO then can pick out and individualize on the output side. On the return side, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't go to them. The only thing I would caution is if they have any sort of like if you're using ducking from TalkBack and they have something else happening on there and that those could clash. But I think that would be more of a special circumstance, especially if you're talking to somebody who's not actively interpreting and you're trying to get them ready or give them a note during a break. They should just be a normal participant. The only thing you have to do is you have to temporarily assign them to an output so that you can route to them. Even though you may not be necessarily needing their video at that moment or something, you have to put them on an output channel, which creates the linking that allows us to send to them. To your second question on the 4 channels, yes, we do plan to bring it to all 16 channels concurrently. We're just waiting on some backend infrastructure updates before we can expand it from 4 to 16. But the way it works today is you can define up to 16 video channels in Zoom ISO. The first 4 will be the ones that are created and their names show up kind of diagonally off the top of each column in the audio routing table, and those are the 4 that you get for TalkBack today. And we do plan to expand it to all 16. And then, as Jonathan said, the other thing we're planning to do is expand receiver support. So today, you need to be on Zoom Workplace version 7.0, the March release, or later from a desktop, so a Mac or a Windows computer. The next client we're planning to add support for is web. Web is nice because everybody uses the same web client version. They don't install anything, so they go to the website and that version is set. So once that rolls out, any participant should be able to participate in TalkBack, because if they don't have the latest version and they can't update, they fall back to the web browser and they do it there, and then you can do one-way audio with them. We're also looking at mobile client support and things like that. Breakout room support is another one that we're planning to introduce in a future update in the near term. We just needed some more time for testing on that, so it doesn't currently work in a breakout room.
Great. And just a follow-up question, with the interpreter, if the interpreter is listening to the interpretation coming through and the main channel is being ducked anyway, we're sort of having a double ducking effect. Is that going to work?
I don't know actually, because I don't know whether or not I don't know who wins. Like, it could be that the setting that they've set is actually already suppressing the main meeting audio, and therefore the additional suppression of the main meeting audio wouldn't be applicable. This would be a good thing to test. I haven't tried that specific combination, but you can also, ducking is optional, so you get to set the whether you want to apply ducking and how much you want to apply, if any. So if it were, then you would simply take that person and you would set them. And I can show you real quick how you do that. You have per channel control of this over here. So when I go on the talkback setting, I reveal these subsetting options, and the one that you're looking for is this set of 4 down here, where you can drag this slider and control the relative amount of ducking that applies. So our TV broadcast friends, they want it like this. They want to completely interrupt the meeting audio, and they only want the producer's voice coming through at that time. This is the way their guests are trained to understand this stuff. They know how to do that. The general public would probably panic if you were to do that. And so we believe that having a submix option to determine what's right for you and your guest and their comfort level is the right way to go. So this is configurable by you. The other thing I would say is that the broadcast TV people, they were going to just latch all the channels open, right? There's nobody sitting in front of Zoom ISO here to click, I want to talk to them, I want to talk to them, I want to talk to them. They're in front of like an RTS board or a Readle system. They're not there operating Zoom ISO. So what they're going to do is they're going to latch open all the channels, and then they're going to change to this setting where there is audio on an open channel is when ducking applies. That way, when audio samples come through, Zoom ISO detects that and applies the ducking. If you didn't want that and you just wanted the ducking to apply anytime the channel was open, you set this setting instead. But I think most people will just allow Zoom ISO to determine that you're actively sending audio and use that as the trigger to apply the ducking. But it is configurable by you. Also worth noting while we're here, the talkback audio does not go through Zoom's audio processing chain. So original sound, noise suppression, all that stuff that Zoom has for the meeting mic does not apply to the talkback audio. So you have separate algorithms and separate settings here that let you decide whether you need echo cancellation, whether you need noise suppression, and you configure that here. The main meeting audio mic, which corresponds to the leftmost channel of this column here, does get Zoom audio processing. So you do get noise removal or any of that stuff when you tick in the far left column. You do not get that when you tick under the talkback outputs set of columns. And again, those settings are now configured here. Of course, you can always reach your main meeting mic settings by going to the in-meeting settings control, opening Zoom settings button here, and then you have that set of settings here that we're talking about, microphone modes, audio profiles, all that stuff. Yeah.
Great, thank you very much. And a quick question to Jonathan. And of course, we can manage all of this through OSC and define who we want to speak to through OSC by defining buttons on a Stream Deck, for example.
Routing to the outputs, yes. So that is the normal output ISO command that you would use. Opening and closing the talkback channel is what we don't have an OSC command for today. Typically, what you'll see us do is introduce a new feature and then stagger the OSC commands for it once we align on what the feature is named, where it is placed, so that the structure of the command makes sense based on its context. So routing, yes. And if you leave all your channels latched open, that's going to be fine. You'd sit there on the Stream Deck and control who you're routing to. If you wanted to have a Stream Deck control talk, latch, all that stuff, that's what we're going to introduce some new OSC commands for in the future.
Thank you.
Frank, did you want to jump in?
I'm good, thanks.
Okay, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. And excited about this feature. I mean, if you remember, we were talking to our CBS Sports Digital team, and they were big on trying to have talkback. So I'm looking forward to sharing with them. But one of the things that and hopefully I'm not speaking from ignorance here, but what does it look like for talkback to be involved to be implemented in either custom AV or the TriCaster app?
Sure.
Adding.
So TriCaster is an easy story because they use the Meeting SDK. This feature is in the Meeting SDK, and VizRT at any time could add the same feature to TriCaster. So the only thing I can't speak to with third parties is like what is their prioritization, what is their roadmap. But they have all the technology needed to implement this feature in the Zoom Meeting SDK, which they already are using to bring the Zoom integration into TriCaster. For custom AV, that's actually that is based on Zoom Rooms, and Zoom Rooms doesn't have the entry point for the talkback feature. So if there is interest in that, that's one to work with the account rep on and say, hey, I'd like Zoom Rooms to support sending talkback, and then it could act as a gateway similarly. But for any of the third-party apps that use the Meeting SDK, they're good to go today.
And I'll add on the Zoom Rooms. One of the limitations that is preventing TalkBack from working today is because Zoom Rooms does not have discrete multi-channel input for the audio. It does have the Dante output, right, but not on the input side. However, we are upgrading Dante to support that very soon with some new controls as well. So once we have a method to receive discrete channels over Dante, that opens the door towards TalkBack. Again, like Andy said, submit feature requests and work with us officially on that. It is going to be a longer process than it was with Zoom ISO. But that's the context we're at, right? Is we can't launch day one with Zoom Rooms because of that multi-channel input.
And contextually, I think it's, again, worth restating that the philosophy with Zoom ISO is that it's always on the bleeding edge. It's always got the latest features and the most updates and the most bespoke UI for broadcast work. Whereas Zoom Rooms is one of those longer tails that is more about the scalability, the enterprise management, the overall admin experience and deployment experience and appliance-like feel. And that tends to have a longer tail. So I would expect, as a general rule of thumb, you'll see Zoom ISO release features before you see custom AV release the equivalent features.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. There's quite a backlog of questions in the chat. Should we try to crush through some of those, or do we want to? How do you want to do this, David?
Absolutely. First of all, to Chris Burgos, yes, we are. This recording, it will be on YouTube for eternity, and it's good to know that Elgato is watching and interested. So thank you for being here. Yeah. Do you want to pick a question? Do you want me to pick a question? What do you want to do?
I'll scroll up as far as I can find
Go
a
for
question
it.
mark, and then let's see. So, Rohit from India is asking about hardware support. So he says that the Mac Mini M4 8 gig still enough, or do we need a higher end silicon-based Mac? So the good news on the M4 is that it actually shipped minimum 16 gig. So there actually isn't as I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that the M4 Mac Mini lowest tier was 16 gig. The M1 Mac Mini shipped with 8 gigs as well. We test in our lab with a M1 Mac Mini, a M1 Ultra Mac Studio, a M4 base spec 16 gigabyte Mac Mini, and then a handful of MacBook Pros with different chips from the later generations. And this is very much a it depends response, because the number of channels that you are setting up, the number of output effects you're applying, the type of the channel, right? If you're transmitting NDI HX3, you're doing H.264 encode on Apple Silicon alongside of other scaling work and things that you apply there. The good news is we have a built-in performance benchmarking system inside of Zoom ISO called Performance Details. And so you can open up the Performance Details system and create a configuration that's like what you're going to use in your show, and it will actually show you your CPU, GPU, and then it'll give you per output information about the frame times. Are they delivering on time? What resolution was Zoom sending you? What resolution were you outputting? How engaged were the scaler engines? All that stuff will show out in there. I continue to be impressed with how much performance we can get out of the M1 Mac Mini. We did test this feature with a couple of talkback channels on the M1, but we weren't doing crazy things like 4K upscaled outputs with tons of output effect overlays going to 16 decklink channels concurrently at the same time as doing all of that. We have done that on the M4 Mac Mini, so that it just shows you how much there is there. The recording feature in Zoom ISO is another one that can be impacting the processor depending on what codec you select and whether you have enough hardware acceleration to support that on the chip. So we do give you plenty of things to do to determine that. Today I am on an M1 Pro. My audio interface is a Motu M2, which gives the misleading impression that I might be on an M2 chip, but it is a M1 Pro from 2022. So yes. Are you able to set which ear the person is talking to? That's from Leo. No. They can set that in the way that they set up their earpiece, and they could have that audio only go into one ear from Zoom on the application level, but we send mono talkback audio to the participants at this time, as far as I know. I have to double check that, but I'm pretty sure that's the case. Yeah.
And Andy, sorry, real quick, just to be clear, with TalkBack and Zoom ISO, you don't have to worry about what mic you're using, what speaker you know. Last night I was using daily.co as the TalkBack support.
You're breaking my heart, David. You're breaking my heart. At least use our video SDK.
And I didn't know what mic to choose. You don't have to think about that.
No, you don't. For the remote, and this is the key thing for the remote guest, it's just join a Zoom meeting and it happens. And this is the big thing compared to other systems. Like, I know of people who use like Unity Comms as an IFB solution. You're really going to be explaining to a non-technical talent how that's going to work. It's an extra setup for them. It's another app to manage. And to be clear, like, there are cases where that works, especially if you have like a white glove thing where you have a team going in, they're going to set up the computer and the talent's just going to sit at the desk and do the hit. Sure, right? But for everybody else, right, that's quite a bit of ask to set up all these other things, and it's stressful and can be confusing. So for them, they just have to join the Zoom meeting, and the audio comes off the same speaker device that they've set for the rest of their audio. The same echo cancellations algorithms will apply. That's another nice thing, right? So if you used like Unity, for example, to send back audio, and then you had open speakers where you didn't have headphones in for that guest, and Unity sent audio out their speakers, Zoom may not be able to echo cancel that because the audio didn't come from Zoom. With TalkBack, the audio comes from Zoom, so Zoom's AEC algorithms know about it and can cancel it on the return feed coming back in the mic. So you have a native advantage there as well because the audio is all coming from one place. Even things that run in browsers run into the same problems where you have these other random audio sources playing audio and the echo cancellation doesn't know about them. And I think on Mac and PC, it's a little different. I think Apple actually can give developers a holistic view of all audio coming out of the system, whereas like on Windows, it's more partitioned. But that's a very nice feature that the echo cancellation for the guest still applies, even when setting that up. Frank asked about saving configurations. Yes. So the entire Zoom ISO app can be saved to a file in terms of its config and then loaded dynamically at runtime. So you could have presets for different shows, not just for TalkBack, but for any setting in Zoom ISO. The whole thing can be saved to a state and then it can be loaded back up at a later time. Yeah. John asked about OSC controls. Let me show that. I can share my screen once more. So this one is pretty exciting. So you guys know we heavy contributors on the OSC side of the house. Let me go over here. And this commands button used to say coming soon. And now it has a comprehensive browser from which you can view all the OSC commands supported by this version of the app. And critically, it lets you edit and configure them. So I could choose to create a command here where I want to use an integer to identify the breakout room number. Now let me make this a little wider so it kind of flows more nicely here. I can edit that, save that, and then I can copy this command wholesale and paste it into Companion, and then it just runs. So it used to be that you had to read our user manual and figure out how our targeting syntax works and discover all this stuff and then write the command from scratch if you wanted to. Now you can actually do all that in an interactive way. I can hover over something in like the chat one and see, oh, this argument here is the chat message. This one here is the participant name. So it shows me that in a tooltip underneath the selected area. This is searchable. So if I'm looking for a feature, I can type it in and I can find it. And it also has all of my outputs. So if I wanted to see what causes the mic device output to send, I can actually click on list mic devices and it will jump me in the table to the command that triggers that. So it's a much more interactive interface for viewing all the commands versus the old like PDF that used to contain all of this. And it's also nice that it's version specific because the same engine that's processing the OSC commands is generating, it's self-documenting. So if you don't have to ask what version is this supported in, if it's in this version of the app, it's there, right? And you know that. And you don't have to try to manage a PDF you got here and a app version you got here and try to figure out which versions are controlled. The other thing is you can individually enable and disable on a per command basis. This is a net new feature that we didn't have before. So if you don't want to allow certain OSC commands to function, or critically, you don't need chatty network traffic from things you don't care about being emitted by Zoom OSC and processed by Zoom OSC, you can turn those features off individually. So a lot of work has gone into the overall OSC command browser here. And like I said, we're going to add more commands for more of the features now that we have this new foundation for the OSC stuff. I saw a question from Luke on YouTube. If I'm a remote producer and Zoom ISO is in my data center, can I route my Zoom audio through Zoom ISO to talk to presenters? It just depends on how you set it up. But Zoom ISO can receive any multi-channel audio device on that Mac. So if you are, what you can't do is use your normal Zoom Workplace client to route to another guest without Zoom ISO in the middle, picking up the audio and transmitting it. So Zoom ISO has to be the transmitting client. But Zoom ISO can ingest audio in really a Swiss Army knife, different ways to pull the audio in. So there are ways that you could send the audio to that Mac. Dante, embedding it in an SDI feed, pulling it from one meeting into another meeting, all sorts of ways that you could do that. Yep. Jonathan, do you want to show direct inputs a little bit? And we can talk about how to do that.
Yes, I can. Let me share that. This will be a quick demo. I'll just screen share. I'm not even going to join the meeting with Zoom ISO, but I think it's important to see how this works because again, this is a much better pathway to get both NDI and the SDI input back into Zoom without requiring any UVC virtual webcam conversions. Okay, so I'll share my screen here. All right. Great. So I'm in Zoom ISO here. I'll go over back to the meeting tab. And you'll see this is where I can select my input source. Now, of course, we support web camera, right? So all of the existing video devices on this Mac. We also support NDI. You can select any NDI source visible on your network. But then going a step further, we have support for AJA and Blackmagic inputs. So if I select my Blackmagic and I can select any of my inputs, this is receiving the video frames directly from the card through the Blackmagic provided SDK as best quality as possible, right? So this is what we highly recommend for use with SDI coming directly in. You'll notice that it is possible under the webcam menu here. You do have Blackmagic devices still visible. We would say stay away from these ones, right? We prefer to use the direct input. These are the Blackmagic created virtual web cameras that pass through the video. So you can select them and use them, but we highly recommend not using these. Instead, setting this to Blackmagic Video, selecting the deck link, the input channel, and you'll see you get the smooth video coming in as the preview.
And the
Last
app
thing
will
I'll
warn
mention is,
you.
yeah, go ahead.
It'll give you a warning if you select the webcam one and say, hey, use the direct one instead.
Exactly.
Because these are the drivers that Blackmagic provides. They're not our app interfacing with them. So we look for devices that basically have Blackmagic in the name, and we tell you use the direct input method if available. Yeah.
And I'll show you on this. So let's talk about audio. So this is just pulling in the video right now. For the audio, what we would recommend if you're in the Zoom ISO managed mode, go to the audio page here, update your input devices under the new input tab. And again, you'll see, right, there are the Mac OS audio devices with the warning icon because those are from the virtual drivers. If you scroll down to hardware audio sources, this is where I see the correct deck link coming in from that SDK. I can select my channel number 4, which I already have here. I have audio coming in from my first channel. I've checked the box corresponding with the meeting mic, like Andy discussed before. So now I have got SDI, this video of the bird, both the video and the embedded audio sent as my microphone and my video into the meeting. One more thing to note. So when this is in use within the Zoom meeting client, I don't think I can share it here, but you'll see Zoom virtual mic and Zoom virtual video selected as the camera and the microphone within Zoom. Leave that as it is. Don't touch. When you are using this raw video input, we don't recommend you play around with and switch those from within the Zoom meeting interface. All of that should be managed through within Zoom ISO's interface.
Yep. And we warn you, it says like when you turn on Zoom ISO managed audio mode, it's going to create this audio device. It's going to remove your other audio devices from the drop-down selector, and this is the one that it will be. So don't panic. Your audio, you're basically telling Zoom ISO that you want to route your video and audio through Zoom ISO, not through the normal Zoom camera and audio selectors. And that is the whole point of that audio management setting that we added that lets you pick between Zoom managed and Zoom ISO managed. If you want to use the table, you use Zoom ISO managed audio mode. If you want to use direct deck link input, you use the desktop video input mode, and it sets it to that device, and it's all done for you. So that's us giving you an interface to manage it versus the Zoom client. Yeah. That's it. Everybody got it.
and unfortunately, I've been busy and dealing with chat and bringing chat in for everybody.
It's all good.
And Mr. Paskin stepped away. So hi
It's all
guys,
good.
I'm back again. But go ahead.
I think it's more of a case of we have to play with it to decide if we have more questions.
So one thing I can do, I can show you something that's unrelated to TalkBack that I think is a really cool feature related to video loss mode. So video loss mode is one of my favorite features inside of Zoom ISO. And as a reminder, what it lets you set the fallback behavior when a source is lost. So that means that if somebody like left the meeting or they turn their camera off or whatever, you define the behavior here. And we've added this new setting that lets you now customize video loss on a per output basis. So I can define if I wanted to have a profile picture. I'm picking on David here, but this is now who's on output 1. This is what it would look like. Oh, he's got this ETK thing there. It doesn't quite look right. So maybe I don't want that. Maybe instead I want to go to, color bars with a name, image applied to it or something like that. I could do all of that in here on a per output basis. So that's super nice. The other thing that we've done when somebody leaves is we added a new offline participant auto reassignment setting. This one's super cool. This means that if somebody was routed to an output and then they left the meeting, or they went to a breakout room, or they went back to the waiting room, or something happened and they weren't there anymore, what would happen today is that Zoom ISO would fall back to select participant in this row. When you turn this setting on, you get to define whether you want to match them only if their ID matches or match them if their ID or name match. So if they come back, they left the meeting, they rebooted their computer, they came back, maybe they updated Zoom, maybe they joined from a different device or whatever, but they had the same name, you could route them automatically into that output without having to touch anything. Or if you wanted it to be their unique ID that's given to them when they join the meeting that Zoom ISO uses, maybe it's a little more secure to do it that way, then we could match automatically when they come back with using the same ID. So that's a new feature. We call it this auto reassignment stuff. And that just helps you not have to mess around with the Zoom ISO interface if you're trying to recover somebody. We leave it off by default because we don't want to put stuff on your outputs unless you wanted it to go there. But you can go in and turn that on. And as you can with all the rest of our auto flows, you can, set up auto here and have us pick for you, progressively through the list, or you can do it in a whole host of different ways. So that's a super nice quality of life thing. Like I said, we got 75 of these. I can keep going all day, but there's a whole lot of things that you can pick from in the auto workflow now.
Very, very cool, Andy. Okay. Robert, go for it.
Yeah, just one more quick question. And you mentioned that you can save the config on Zoom ISO. Can you pick up that config file and move it to a different machine?
Yes, yes, you can. The only thing I'd recommend is that both machines run the same version of Zoom ISO if you want all the settings to import properly. Obviously, if there were a conflict between the versions, then some settings might not import properly. But we do try to handle that gracefully for you. But if they're both running the same system, you could output the file, move the file, and then import the file.
Lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. All right. And if anybody has any questions on YouTube, let me know in chat and I will relay it to Andy and Jonathan while they're still here. Anybody else have any questions for Andy that are panelists while I wait for YouTube? Questions, raise hands if you do.
One thing I could say for Dan, and
ahead, Dan.
raised his hand, but Dan, thank you for the report on non 16:9 output video formats. That's addressed in this version. It was a really great question because it was, what do we do if we have like an ultra wide monitor or a portion of a screen and we need to output to a 16:9 output channel, but the source content isn't? Zoom ISO had defaulted to punching in, but with output effects now you have default letterbox, and then you can punch in if you want to using output effects. So that was great feedback. And this is why we really appreciate the beta program, is that we get great field feedback from all of you and we can make these enhancements. So I just wanted to thank Dan for that. It was a really great report.
Thank you for thanking me, but it wasn't me who put the report in, and Alex would be very upset if I took credit for something that he put in. But yes, our team put that in. I had a snarky question sort of in there about comms, but as I see all these sort of different audio routing going on, is there any consideration of, I mean, I know there's already tools out there like Unity and things, but it just sprung something in my mind that would be kind of nice to actually have some built-in comms abilities.
Yeah, like a Zoom cloud hosted comms platform with the IO. So this is you're not the first person to ask me this week, actually. There was a developer in our community. I won't out him at the moment, but he was basically like, hey, does Zoom, support all the underlying infrastructure I would need to build an end-to-end comms solution, but off of Zoom's cloud? And we have something called the Video SDK that allows you to define the business logic of all the routing. So the Video SDK is what I recommended to them, because if they wanted to build something off of our infrastructure, but with all the verticality of a proper comm solution without the kind of the business logic or UI of Zoom, then that is something that can be done at the infrastructure level. At the product level, I think it would be I think Zoom ISO is sort of the first step, that we're taking in terms of bridging a comm solution, and then we can take feedback based on how that's going and see if we need to go further than that. But I also really like solutions that are out in the market, like Space Comms, for example. I think they've taken a really fresh web-based, cloud-based approach to comms, and now they have all the infrastructure that they would need to tie it into Zoom. So I think there are advantages on the integration side that can get you a lot of what you're looking for there without Zoom building the entire product end to end. But we do offer the underlying developer technology that would allow that, and so it's not totally out of the question.
Very cool. Anybody else? Any other panelists? Questions?
Well, we are coming up on the hour, so I don't want to overstay our welcome. It was very nice to be here with you all this afternoon, and I really appreciate everybody who popped into the kitchen. If it's your first time here in Zoom Test Kitchen, this is a great place to be. I'm glad some people saw it on LinkedIn and wanted to pop in. It's a great place to hang out every Friday, and we always love stopping by and sharing what's new.
Yeah. Brody from YouTube just popped in. And of course, Andy saying goodbye. And of course, everybody then, I gotta ask. Could Andy say a little more about use cases where these new tools provide ideal solutions?
Yeah, totally. So I'll give you two. One of them is a network TV station whose acronym you probably would all know, is working on updating their remote contribution infrastructure. And they are right now using a solution where they have a laptop for each participant, screen scraping it, and then they have a big audio console that bridges their RTS comm system into channels for each input laptop. And they have a producer in a wheeling chair rolling back and forth between all the computers, attempting to manage the remote guests for their network that does 150 something interviews a day. That is a hard way to work. And what we've done here is, by tying it into multi-party, we can now have a workflow where a booker for talent fills out a meeting form. It creates an API-based automation that invites everybody to the meeting. The guests show up in the meeting. Zoom ISO shows up in the meeting, pulls out all the guests. The guests automatically hear each other by virtue of being in the same Zoom meeting, but all the producer and studio audio that they need to inject back into that meeting comes in over Dante, over the talkback channels, or embedded in the SDI channels, and bridges Zoom as the final mile of their existing comm solution. And by contrast, there are other things that you look at. I'll take Office Hours Global as an example, right? When panelists come on Office Hours, they're enrolled in Unity Comms and it's tied in, and it's the only time some of these people ever launch that app is for the sole purpose of being able to get the occasional producer note. This is a production that already uses Zoom ISO to be able to extract the remote guests and already has, local tie-in to the Dante network that is producing audio for that show. They should absolutely be able to pull that audio in and tie it in on the other end of that. So that would be a much easier way of working if they could adopt the talkback solution. Of course, we have to support breakout rooms, right? So there's a couple things that we have to do to clean up on our end, and they usually have more than 4 guests, and we only have 4 channels, so gaps to close for sure. But that's the kind of thing that we're doing. And we also think that for those of you who are just, again, pulling in a couple of guests and you're the producer sitting in front of your computer managing it, and you need to give a note, now you can just click talk on that output participant and send your audio to them and get the note across. So that's kind of the vision. And it was really, I will say, it was really challenging to try to serve both types of users with one feature that has the workflow for both. The pros needed that fully expanded audio system. The individual end user needed a simple talk button to be able to press and talk. How those two interacted with each other, we spend a lot of time on thinking about the interface there, and hopefully you find it helpful. So, yep.
So, Andy, I see John Lois, you wanted a question too? Or, yeah, okay, all right. Let me go to Johnny first because he had his hand up, and then I'll come back to you, Lois.
Great work, Andy. Thank you very much. If you can't get breakout rooms, then are you stuck with running webinars and being able to get to backstage, or can you get between backstage and the main stage at the same time?
We don't support webinars for TalkBack right now. I have to look at that more to see all the intricacies of webinar breakout rooms, webinar backstage, and on stage. But webinars isn't a target use case for us right now on this one, but we can take a look at that. For breakout rooms, the one thing I will say is that a lot of people are still in a 2020 mindset of how Zoom works, where you couldn't take a guest from the waiting room and admit them directly to the breakout room. And that's why the main room became the area for vetting all the guests. And that's not true anymore, right? So you now could have a very legitimate workflow where you have a screening breakout room and then promote people back to the main meeting when you're done and do your show in the main meeting area by using the admit from waiting room directly to breakout room feature to do all your guest prep and screening. So for a lot of productions, they still put the show in the breakout room. It's not as necessary now to do that as it was several years ago, now that you could admit somebody directly from the waiting room to a breakout room and screen them, then pass them back to the main meeting and do the show there. And Lois, nice to see you.
Hi. So I'm really doing basic questions here. What is the minimum account that one needs to have to get this? And is this part of the Zoom workplace, or is this something you buy separately? How does that work as far as getting it?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I think you can define getting it in 2 ways. One of them is, what does the guest need to have in order to hear it? And then the other way is, what does the producer need to have in order to send it? And they're different. So the guests don't need any special account. They need to be on Zoom Workplace version 7.0, 7.0.0 or later. And they need to be joining from desktop. So no web browser, no phone yet. That's coming though. And then to send it, you need to have an app that supports it. So Zoom ISO supports it, and Zoom ISO is licensed via a Zoom Enhanced Media add-on license. Third-party apps like NeuralNet, Live to Air Z have their own licensing that you pay them for, and there's no Zoom license requirement to use their product with Zoom. You pay them for the license, and in that way, it depends. But if you're talking about what we've shown today, Zoom ISO, we get a Zoom Enhanced Media add-on license that would give you the Zoom ISO app, and the Zoom ISO app is the portal from which the audio flows out to the remote guests. But the meeting scheduler doesn't have to have anything special, and the remote guest doesn't have to have anything special. Yeah. Great. With that, shall we let you guys carry on and onto
We're
your?
good at that. We're good at that
I was
carrying
going
on.
to say, I think you are. I think you are. Well, thanks again for having us today. Wonderful to be with you, and look forward to coming back soon. All right.
Yes.
Take
Anytime.
care, everybody.
You and Jonathan, take care.
Take care.
All right. back to biz, or back to normal biz.
My brain
So,
hurts.
There's nothing normal now that's going to happen, Mike. Everyone is just so overwhelmed. I can imagine.
All right, let's all talk it out now. What did we all understand from Andy and Jonathan now? What did we just learn from Andy and Jonathan? And let's make sure that everybody by the end of the show understands that I caught that. Okay, I caught that. And then we'll put it all together and everybody will at least not feel so overwhelmed.
I am so glad that this has been recorded and that I can go and I can listen to it and stop it and go, what did he say? Back it up a little bit. So this is my, I got the video. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. And again, just for everybody on YouTube and anybody in, of course, that are panelists or that are joining us the first time, we archive everything. We archive every week's show, every Friday show starting at 3 p.m. Eastern. We archive that on YouTube. So do check out our YouTube channel for more details. And you can see that off of our zoomtestkitchen.com website.
We need labs.
Oh. Hasmo says that from the silence in Africa. We need the apps. I think we need the apps is what I think I heard.
No, he said we need labs.
No.
Labs.
We need labs.
Oh, labs.
Oh, I thought it was naps.
Well, that probably, in his case, that too, because it's got to be after midnight where he's at, but that's...
Yeah.
So when we went around and did introductions, and some people said where they were from, and others didn't. So if there's anybody who wants to give a longer introduction of who you are or where you're from, I think that would be lovely, especially the folks who are new that we haven't talked to before.
Come on. Yeah, come on in, Dan or Trevor, if you want to give us a little more history about what you do with Zoom or how you use Zoom, by all means.
Sure. Yeah, I'm based in Salt Lake City. I work primarily with a company called Mountain Outpost. They stream ultramarathons based out of Phoenix, and transitioned to Zoom ISO about 6 months ago. I built that out for them. One of my favorite features that he was talking about was the auto reconnect. We have a team of, anywhere from 10 to 20 people traveling around a 200, up to 250-mile course, and they're hopping in and out of the meeting constantly as they move around and on Starlink a lot. And so we have somebody almost dedicated to relinking them as they come in, right? That's super crucial. And so that's going to be big for us so that they can just rejoin the meeting, and it shows right up on our switcher. So I'm super excited about that.
Cool. Trevor, tell us a little more about your experience using Zoom on Starlink, as you guys are obviously at different locations all the time, right?
Yeah, for sure. One of the things that we've done is we work with Peplink a lot for bonding with Starlink, and that's been a huge thing for us between 5G and the sketchy places that we end up streaming from. But we used to actually have the studio out in the field as well that we would stream off of Starlink. But as we've moved to Zoom ISO and using Zoom, it's allowed us to broadcast out of Phoenix and use Zoom for all of this. And the talkback, that was the main reason I joined, just because we are using, funny enough, Andy was talking about Unity, and we're using Unity a lot as well. And so being able to have it all kind of within Zoom is going to be a huge step for us. So yeah, super excited.
Is 4 channels enough for you for now, Trevor, or no?
I think we're going to need more eventually, but right now we typically run between 3 to 4 field teams with correspondents in the field. And so those are going to be the primary necessities to be able to talk into their ears as they're communicating with the in-studio hosts. So yeah, excited to have more, but 4 for now, it should be pretty good. So yeah.
Yeah. Just be strategic is my official answer to that question.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course. All right, Dan, you want to talk about where you use Zoom?
Sure. In the corporate world. So I was using Zoom at a company that used Teams and Zoom. And now I'm at a company that uses Gmeet and Zoom for their general meetings. And then obviously we're using Zoom ISO and Tiles for our productions. And so this will be a nice addition for us to be able to actually do some talk back to remote executives, are usually the ones who are dialing in. And right now that communication is going out through a Slack channel or sometimes even in the Zoom meeting chat. Yep.
Right. Right. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you see a lot. So is four audio. I'll ask you too, Dan. Is 4 audio channels enough for you for now?
Yeah, for now. Yep. I think Zoom's always very good at adding more to it. But yeah, I'm excited to find this group. I didn't know that it existed, so it's good to see Andy's post. There's occasion where I join on the office hours side of things too. I was there day one when that all started, and then I kind of went away from it work wise. But it's always good to connect with other people living in the same worlds that we're all in. It's good stuff.
And Dan, if you check out our zoomtestkitchen.com website, you can actually join our Discord channel as well. So we're talking Zoom all the time, and Andy will answer questions. Jonathan will answer questions in our Discord channel. So you'll have direct access to them and in there as well.
Nice.
Okay. And Trevor liked that idea. Cool. John, I saw a hand up. You still have a question for Dan or just a question?
Sort of.
Sort of. Good enough.
Sort
I'll
of.
take a sort of.
I have a lot of apps. Those that know me know I have a lot of apps, but I have an app called Whisper, which is not on public release at the moment, but that allows you to send messages between Zoom Workplace apps outside of the chat, but inside the Zoom ecosystem. It's a Zoom function. And if any of you have a use case where you'd like to be able to have that work, then get in contact with me and we can either work together or I can give you some code and you can edit it you like. So the idea is you have a sidebar in Zoom and you can send messages to it, and they may be predefined messages or they may be you type them, and that gives you another messaging feature between the Zoom apps and the people in the meeting or webinar. So you might have you're on next, or we can't hear you, or talk louder. So they're not, they're a whisper, but they're a textual whisper rather than an audio whisper.
And then I don't know if I can turn it around on you guys, but I don't fully understand where everybody's coming from in terms of their use of Zoom. So maybe it'd be interesting. I'm sure you've probably done this before about how you first got introduced to Zoom. But I came from originally we were using Blue Jeans, which I don't know if you remember that far back. That used to be a thing. That was kind of the thing. At least for us, we were using Blue Jeans heavily, and Zoom was the secondary actually. And then things flipped for lots of different reasons, where Blue Jeans went, the technology, all that side of things. But yeah, be interested to know how you guys got your sort of first touch point of Zoom for Zoom.
Anybody want to start? Go for it, Robert.
COVID, and we do interpreting, and suddenly all the conferences were cancelled, so we had no interpreting jobs. And so I looked for a tool and got in touch with WebEx, Microsoft Teams, and with Zoom. Zoom gave me a beta, and we tested out their beta, and we just started training interpreters, and we grew from there. And we've been using Zoom ISO for a long time.
Yeah. So anybody else want to give how they started? Frank.
Sure. We used to use Polycom and Tandberg for video conferencing. Then we tried Blue Jeans for a while, and a little bit of Skype sometimes, but we converted our Polycom video conferencing rooms with the Zoom room connectors. That was sort of one way we use it. We also started using it instead of vMix or with vMix to do video conferencing, media production, and now we use it for events, live events and stuff too, where we bring in people. So a little bit of everything.
And so did you use vMix? Did you try using vMix Caller first and then went to the Zoom integration into vMix?
No, we used Zoom right away and never used the other one.
Yeah, Dan, I can vouch for that. So again, I've been in the industry for over 30 years, streaming media industry way before Zoom was even around and WebEx and all that fun stuff. So when it comes to vMix, yes, I was one of the beta testers for vMix Call way back in the day when vMix Call was added, and then of course I've been using the Zoom integration as well. But yeah, as far as Zoom was concerned, I was when Eric actually left WebEx and actually was about to start up Zoom. There was a group of us that he actually reached out to, and I was lucky enough to be one of the people in that group, and I was one of the, I guess you would call me a alpha or beta tester of Zoom way back in the day. So I've been around since, I guess, officially the very beginning, I guess. All right, Lois, go ahead.
So I've never used Zoom or even heard about it until COVID hit, and our exercise class that one of the instructors did at the senior center got canceled. And she said, "Oh my gosh, what am I going to do?" And I said, "Well, let me look around." And I found Zoom existed. And so I learned how to use it. I taught her how to use it. And I taught all these little old ladies how to use it. And then we got the Zoom test kitchen going. And I wasn't the founder of it, but I was one of the first folks who came in and asked questions about it. And so I am not a professional, I'm an artist, but it's wonderful to have this community here where you can come and you can ask any question, whether it's complex or it's simple or whatever, and nobody says anything bad about you. They just say, "Yes, Lois, we can answer them." So it's good to be here. And it's always interesting to hear Andy talk about what's going on. I knew Andy from office hours. And so yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Lois. So yeah, Dan, we're a hodgepodge of different, Dan and Trevor, we're a hodgepodge of different companies. So we come from all different types of, some of us are in the production world fully, some of us in the broadcast world, some of us have been in the broadcast world, have been in the production world, are using Zoom. There's a handful of us that are officially, there's at least 4 of us that are, where's all my champions? 1, 2, oh, one of the champions got his hand up there. 2, 3 that are actually Zoom community champions. And then John and I are officially Zoom developer forum champions as well. And then, so there's a lot of, even though we're not officially Zoomies, we're, I guess, that close to be Zoomies. So if you do have any community related questions, so workplace app, all the different products, this is definitely the place to come as well. And one of the people that I usually answer the questions, he's got his hand up. Go for it, Ray.
Hey guys, Ray Harwood, and I'm in the world of AV. I'm probably what you would call tier 0. I'm a one-guy producer. Most of my clients are very small membership organizations, but I have done a couple of things. For example, a really great event that I talk about very often from the Maori of New Zealand, the T2RD-based futures guys put on a Zoom event every 2 years, and they typically have 2,000 to 3,000 attendees for these, and it runs. They had a 10-day one, a 6-day one. So Zoom events is really my forte. When Zoom events first came out, I've kind of dove in, real deep, and so I called myself occasionally sort of the master's master. I've got people like Betsy Sabatini and Denise Lahat who I respect, and they come to me when they're stuck and go, "Ray, how do you do this?" And I've told this many times. I wrote my first computer program in Fortran on punched cards in 1970. So I've been doing computers a long time, and I'm the guy that always dives into the books and understands the concepts and can figure things out if it can be figured out. And so yeah, that's sort of my forte. I've done exactly 3 hybrid events in my lifetime. 2 of them were with the same group in different years, and basically they hired a church team to come in with Blackmagic and ATEM switchers and feed into Zoom, and I just used them as part of the Zoom. to feed back and forth. They had them in hotels and had walls up where they could see things, and this is sort of before tiles. And another one was a very small college setting where they had 12 people in a room and 15 people online. So yeah, not really big for that. Usually if they want to do something huge, I tell them to go find you guys.
Very cool. Thank you guys all. And I like the Fortran reference. It's been a while. I studied architecture in school, but my friends were all engineers, and there would be a lot of Fortran discussion and dot matrix printers printing things out. So thanks for the throwback.
Dot matrix printers. Ah, yes. All right. Anybody else got any feedback? Yeah. Oh,
for me, I do a lot of corporate webinars and live streams and podcasting. I use Zoom for all of that with Ecamm and Zoom ISO and tiles and all sorts of stuff kind of glued together. So that's me.
Yeah. So again, yeah. Go ahead, Pete. Yeah.
I guess two things. One, before I forget, Ray, I suspect you weren't using a dot matrix printer if you were writing code in 1971 or 1970. It was probably a band printer because
we had a 1403 Nancy. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, a band printer. Same printer I was using in school at that same time. So you and I are of the same ilk. Let's put it that way. Except I was using assembler language, not Fortran. I do volunteer work for the Boy Scouts, which brings its own problems in with Zoom. You learn because I'm dealing very often with youth under 18, which has its own set of rules you have to play with, like nobody gets recorded without parental permission, which means it's written permission, which means it has to get gotten ahead of time, which is a whole different problem. But about once a month, I do an event that hosts about 400 people, and we have speakers from around the nation talk to anybody from Cub Scouts all the way up to adult leaders. So Cub Scouts are little kids, which means their parents are usually there as well. But I got into Zoom during COVID, like a lot of us here. And frankly, it was by happenstance of listening to Mac Break Weekly and listening to Alex Lindsay talk about office hours. So I went and watched that. And all of a sudden I found myself here, to be quite honest. And I have, besides using Zoom ISO and all the liminal products, if you will, I mean, I'm sitting here next to, not many people have a 2ME sitting on their desk as a volunteer, right?
You got some chuckles. I was watching everybody when you said that. You definitely got some chuckles. Yeah. So the 2ME he's talking about, of course, is the 810 2ME rack mount unit. Pete's favorite. Absolutely. Okay. Great. So any questions from YouTube? Everybody's been watching us on YouTube and everybody's been quiet on YouTube. Is everybody minds blown too? For Andy and Jonathan showing you everything today? Probably. Okay. All right. Very cool. Is there any issues that came up this week for anybody? We'll go into issues. Did we run into anything in particular? And Trevor and Dan, this is usually, again, we usually start this at the very beginning. We usually ask if anybody has had any issues this week and we work through them. And this is the reason that we call it the kitchen, is because of the fact that we would actually dissect the actual problem and work through it. And it's like, oh, did you try this? Or watch it blow up in front of us too. And then we can actually, we've got a video documented. And then at that particular point, we have our favorite Zoomies watch the specific timestamp of this is what happened. And then it brings it to their attention. I did hear somebody pop up with their hand up and you disappeared on me. Who was that? Sorry, I didn't catch it. Anybody?
Frank did put his hand up.
Frank, go ahead, Frank.
I'm outing him.
Don't be shy. Frank's never shy, so I'm allowed to say that. That's why. Thanks, Don. Oh, he's still being shy. Okay, all right, fine. Brody has a question for us. All right, cool. Talkback integration with Zoom seems compelling, but might a separate talkback system be desirable if, for an example, a remote contributor has Zoom issues? What do we think, panelists?
What are Zoom issues?
I'm thinking that Brody is talking about if Zoom starts to have dropouts or the person is having problems connecting up to Zoom for whatever reason. I think that's where Brody's going with this.
So they
Too
can't
much
use
reliability
on one tool.
On one tool. Yeah, I think that's where Brody's going with this, Dan. Yeah.
Tool or one
Thoughts?
computer.
Robert, say that one more time for me.
One tool or one computer.
Right. Right. So, yeah. So talkback integration with Zoom seems compelling. So Brody likes the idea, but might a separate talkback system still be desirable? I'm thinking Brody's talking about that you have a bit of redundancy or resiliency.
Yeah,
should
failing
Zoom go down.
gracefully or
Yeah.
fail over or whatever, you know.
Yeah. I would say, Brody, it's probably not bad to have both, would be my official answer to that. Would be to primarily use Zoom and then use a different system backup. Go ahead, Lois.
I would suggest doing a conference call on your phone if the Zoom goes down.
Yeah, that's what and that's exactly what I do, Lois, when we're having problems with the other end, so to speak.
Mhm. I've even had times where everything is fine with all the people that are on Zoom and there's one person who can't get on. I'll do a phone call with them and just hold my phone up to the microphone and they can participate with us by just phoning in because they couldn't figure out how to phone in, which you can do on a Zoom.
Right. Right. Any other thoughts from our panelists? Are we concerned that we would not have Zoom and need to have a backup system? Let me throw that out there. A lot of people are giving me no for YouTube's sake. When
I would argue that it depends. I mean, for somebody like me or for Lois, I don't mean to speak for you, Lois, but I don't think I would fall back to the phone. Right? I mean, I know that every time I have to get into Unity Comms, it is Andy said it right. It is the only time I ever start that application on my computer. Right?
Is because
every
of the fact
time
that
I'm
they
on
use
that
it. Yeah.
panel, office hours used it. Every time I was on that panel, which wasn't frequently, I'd have to go and relearn the whole thing because they'd have changed it. So yeah, I'm
Different
glad
features and
talkback's
such.
coming. Yeah.
Okay, so everybody's liking the talkback so far, Brody. Any follow-up thoughts, Brody? Let me know in chat, and we will talk about it with the panelists. Frank, go for it.
All right, you asked about issues. It's not really an issue. It's more of a grievance. I'm going to share my screen here. So, you know, the web portal is, there's a new web experience coming. They pushed the date back to September 30th, right? So I guess there was enough complaining by different entities that they delayed it a bit. But the part that I'm annoyed about is right here. When you want to choose to update to the new Zoom web experience for all of my users, I'm a Zoom admin at my place where I work. They've got update now or wait till the 30th. I want one more button here that says on a specific date. We've decided it's going to happen September the 2nd. I would like to have a button where I could pick a date and set it and forget it, not have to actually go on September 2nd and click that. Like, I don't understand why they don't put these little features in for, for corporate users.
Yeah.
I can answer that question.
With anybody at Zoom?
Answer it. I want to hear your answer.
Because they don't have Andy's team thinking about the user. Because when you just listen to him just now, he was continuously saying, "We've thought about this, and this is the way we see it, and this is what you're going to need." And I think it's a really user-centric approach that he takes.
No, you're right. You're right. It's just sometimes the people who make the tools don't understand their clients' use cases for the tools, right? So, we're communicating to 30,000, more than 30,000 Zoom users that this change is going to happen on the 2nd. I'm also on vacation, so on the 2nd I have to actually log into Zoom and make the change for the whole institution. I just don't understand why they wouldn't have one more button.
Yeah, no, I feel you, Frank. I feel you on that. And Ray, you're going to have a comment too, I think, for Frank?
Yeah, my question, Frank, was who have you raised this up to? Anybody at Zoom?
No, I kind of used some of my goodwill complaining about having it August 26th, and they pushed it back. I'm not saying I'm the only one. I talked to my sales rep, and he said that they had already had 9 institutions complain to them. So it's sort of trivial, but it's sort of what I don't know what we were talking about earlier. Like Robert said, like think of your customers' use cases. Like there's a lot of places that have tens of thousands of users, and it'd be nice to be able to set certain features up with timers.
Yeah, and I'm trying to actually think, when is the actual 30th? Is that actually, it's a Wednesday?
Yeah, I didn't even know what day it was, but yeah.
So
that's an odd time to make that kind of change.
Yeah, Monday morning would make more sense, right?
Yeah.
Or Sunday night.
Or Sunday night. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sunday night, so Monday morning, it's already in the system that everybody, when they get to, or they'll get an email. I guess they would get an email, Frank, correct? I think when I did it, everybody got an email.
Did they?
I guess, Frank, if I were thinking it through, I would have said, like so many other places you can do in Zoom, feed it as CSV with user IDs and when you want to cut them over, because you actually might want to cut over separate groups at separate times.
Sure, that's one way to go. What we've been doing is, oh, sorry, I'm just going to move my browser down just a wee bit. Try the new experience. That button is controllable by the admin, whether or not you want people to try the new experience. I turned it on immediately, and it's been on for, I would say, 3-4 weeks now. If people really want to try it, then they can, and they can revert. But the minute you make the change for the whole organization, there's no reverting. Once you flip that switch.
And I was going the step in between, thinking the step in between that says there's a if nothing else, a pilot group that you want to inflict this upon.
Inflict, I like that word.
First, in a past life, there were things that I would never inflict upon the executive secretaries first.
Sure.
Because you tick them off, you're dead meat.
I just know I'm going to get hundreds of tickets the first week, support tickets. It's just going to be crazy because people are going to go, I don't know where anything is anymore.
Yep, that's fair, and we've been hearing about that already, Frank. Even in the, as you know, in the community and the Zoom community champions end, we've been hearing about that too. That there's certain things I know on the Zoom developer end. John and I have actually been hearing it too. That there was a feature that was available in the old experience, but it wasn't ported over to the new experience. It actually gave a 404 error on the website. Oops.
Yeah, they need like a Zoom Clippy or something for people. Like, where is it? Oh, let me show you where that is.
Yeah, or at least, heaven forbid, redirects, at least for now, of some sort of, old link, new link, old link, new link. But yeah.
Well, they have all that AI. You would think if you're going to be, an AI forward-facing company, why didn't they build some AI in that help people find where the menu moved to, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, 100%. Very cool. All right, and I didn't make the for everybody, but I'm going to do it anyways. If anybody has questions, let me know in chat. No, Frank, I didn't make the Yeah, there you go. But I didn't have a chance to this week. Everybody's been going, Mike, you should have a sound effect when it does that. So I'm working on it. I got to get some cycles for it.
I like your sound effect.
Oh, you liked my sound effect. Okay, that was very cool. That was very manual of me. Thank you. Thank you, Lois. I like that.
So you could record that, and then
I know.
A button
Yeah.
on your Stream Deck.
And then it'll be added to that button on the Stream Deck that actually does all that. Yes, yes, it would be. 100%. That is companion, a bit focused companion button. Now, do we dare bring up is the new Zoom ISO functionality going to be built into the companion module?
I think I read it already is.
Some of it is. He said,
Some of it.
Yeah, because he made
Yeah,
he made the comment that all the OSC commands aren't settled in yet.
Okay. I saw something
Right.
on Office Hours Discord, but you're probably more accurate.
I think there's a cascading effect that first you got to get those settled in, then you've got to get the documentation settled in, and then once the documentation settled in, then you can do Zoom OSC. I mean, the companion module. So, but hopefully in short order.
Yeah,
Andy showed us so many things. Like it was easy to gloss over some stuff or forget some stuff, but that panel where you can copy the commands, like see the commands and copy them and paste them into Companion, that's pretty amazing, and I've never seen that anywhere else, right?
Yeah, that's fair.
I would use the word brilliant, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah, and it'll definitely. I don't know how much Justin is still involved with the actual module, but Justin, if you're watching us, come on in and let us know if Andy's been reaching out to you to get the module updated. Yeah, go ahead, Trevor. You're off mute. Go for it.
I was wondering, I haven't really set up Companion. We actually use, I've set up BitFocus buttons. And so since Zoom ISO is so new to us, I haven't really gone to work on setting that up through BitFocus at all. And so is the configuration the same between Companion and buttons and setting that up, or?
Yeah. So anybody want to answer that, and or I'll give my opinion if you guys have been
Well,
playing with
you're talking about BitFocus buttons and BitFocus Companion?
Correct, yeah.
The answer is no, they are not the same, and you can't easily move between the two of them.
So,
but
okay.
again, Companion buttons was made off of Companion. So the modules are the same, but they're not they're two different.
The programming model is very different. The programming model is very different.
Yeah.
Gotcha. But I should be able to use the same OSC commands through buttons since I already have buttons running.
Oh, they're OSC commands. So why not?
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Companion. Yeah. So again, buttons inherit that from Companion.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
not
Ray, I
necessarily
am.
The same way. Not necessarily the same way in buttons, because again,
right.
It's more targeted after the one you rack mount.
Yeah,
as compared
for
to
sure.
the actual desktop models.
Yeah,
the BitFocus, right?
Yep.
So that's the only main real difference. And of course, you've got the the scanning and such that you could do on there. So you could if you want to make it more secure. Buttons is more for the production world, and it's more for if your Stream Deck is going to be more in a location that might be unsecure, that all of a sudden somebody goes, "Oh, what do these buttons do?"
Yeah.
You forgot one other important difference. It's
go ahead,
BitFocus is free. You don't have to pay.
Yeah, that's right.
True.
BitFocus Companion is also free, where buttons you have to pay. Yes.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I've used both, but went over to buttons, just talked to them at NAB, and then switched over quickly because of how new the setup that we were building was and the ease of use of it. So we've been enjoying it so far. I just haven't gone, like I said, haven't really gone to work on integrating ISO yet. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. And again, it's more of what security do you really need on it, and what interface do you want to really use on it? Because Companion, again, has been built on, and it's got many different surfaces that it actually will work with right now. But buttons was going to be buttons. And think of it this way: Companion's sort of the free version, and buttons is the paid version, but yet they're still independent of each other, right? When it comes to, as Pete was saying, buttons has its own language per se.
Yeah.
And I want to be very vague with that. And Companion has its own way of doing things too. So,
cool. Sweet.
Do they
Thank
compare
you.
with each other? Yes. And are they the same people to a point? Yes. That are in the background
Cool.
of both? Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Did I miss anything, Pete? I think I covered everything with that, right?
Yeah, pretty much
Yeah.
so. I mean, it's one of those things that because you can run buttons. I forget there's a limitation on the number of surfaces you could use, but you can run it for free. I think with one surface forever and ever now. I mean, they've changed. If you go out there, they changed the pricing model. But I'm so used to Companion, even after the version 5 changes, that I got very frustrated with the programming model for buttons.
Trevor, I think you'll get to know this community a little bit better. This is a Stream Deck community. There's certain people here who have like more keyboards. Sorry, they're more Stream Deck buttons than they have keys on their keyboard.
Yeah.
And that person might be my co-host, and he might be the person that Ray says, "Be right back." And we make fun of him all the time that we keep saying every time a new Stream Deck model comes out, we're asking him if he's going to buy it or not.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, we are big time BitFocus Companion users. Actually, the original person that actually started the Zoom Test Kitchen, he actually had a kit that he was actually selling back in the day that actually had all the integrations for Zoom OSC. Robert, was that OSC?
OSC.
Back then? OSC,
Mhm.
yeah. That had he made all the icons so you could actually do the spotlighting, the whole 9 yards. He had all that whole kit
Cool.
way back in the day.
That's
So
awesome.
yeah, we've been, so yeah, if you do ever run into buttons issues or companion issues, definitely let us know, especially when it comes to Zoom.
Yeah. Awesome. Very cool.
I
Thank you.
actually, every now and then I go back to Jeff's original videos where he started from scratch setting up a Focus Companion and OSC, and because you just forget about things. You go over to a new machine and you wonder, how did I do this? Ah, there it is. Bang.
So Trevor, what Robert's talking about is, again, if you take a look at some of our original archives, live archives, you'll actually see Jeff, who's the original person that started the Zoom Test Kitchen way back in the day. He made some videos that are specific to using, like, if you're into doing Zoom OSC type commands, then it's dated. So obviously it's, Andy and the group have done major updates since, but at least it'll get you started if you did ever want to not necessarily stick with buttons and go to Companion. I don't think there's much limitations of what you're doing now, but again, it really depends on how you're using buttons, right?
Yeah.
If you need this extra security and such of it, then by all means stick with buttons.
Yeah. I mean, just because it started with Zoom OSC, it still applies. A lot of the stuff still applies because all those commands have moved forward into Zoom ISO.
Right.
Right. So
Right,
if anything, you can just
OSC
add.
was the
You can
first.
You can add functionality, given what Zoom ISO can do. But the basic stuff, like what to do when somebody raises their hand, because the companion module can detect that.
Right. And and it'll actually pop up on your Stream Deck, which I don't know how far you've gone using the OSC commands as of yet from Zoom ISO or Zoom OSC, depending on what you're running. But yeah, you could actually, let's say you have all of us in the meeting right now, our names actually could go to your Stream Deck. And you go spotlight, who am I spotlighting? And then hit it, and then boom, then all of a sudden all the people are spotlit at the same time. So yeah, if the videos interest you, they're on our YouTube channel for sure.
Cool. Yeah, I'll check them out. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Just had a thought that I'd like to share with you, if I can. This group of people here is really interesting because we've got educators and people who really know how to teach things well. I mean, David is one of those people. Jeff was one of those people. And then we've got people on the spectrum who just know how to do it and throw you. You have to do this, this, and this. You don't have to understand why. You just need to do it. It's very, very cool.
Does anybody use their Stream Deck companion for stuff outside of Zoom? I'd have to say about 2/3 of my pages are all basically bringing up things that I want. I actually built something a week or two ago where I actually select which project I'm working on. And when I press the button, it sets a set of buttons on, I have one button to edit the Zoom event, another button to see the Zoom lobby, another button to see the Zoom registration, another button to go to the incoming folder where all of the producers are all of the presenters are putting in their stuff. And I use it for launching apps. I use it for launching games. I use it for a lot of stuff, and I just the things that I see typically are all business and work related, and mostly not us tier one guys, and sometimes not even Zoom people.
Well, I know I use it for, I guess there are three major categories. Zoom, just like you were just talking about, Ray.
Yeah.
But I have a whole bunch of Blackmagic equipment that's sitting here on my desk, not just the 2ME, but a HyperDeck and a web presenter, and actually a Blackmagic camera that I can control through my Stream Deck, because it's also network attached. I control Mimo Live through my Stream Decks. So those are the three major categories, but I also do some things with some games when I do that, things like that. It just depends on what pages I'm on, and I also can control, because I have one of those large Stream Deck XLs, Stream Deck Plus XLs that have the, was it 4x9 rows of buttons, but it has 6 knobs. I control my lights, as an example, through that.
Yeah, very cool. Robert, go for it.
I also use it for a couple of other things during production. I use a Stream Deck Plus with the knobs to manage my Ecamm, and I use Ecamm as my media player. So I have all my media set up in Ecamm, and I can send it out and adjust volume levels on the Stream Deck Plus, which is really useful because the Ecamm player is in a machine at the back there. And the other thing I do is I have a second Stream Deck Plus, which is just set up with OBS in exactly the same media, and it's a backup. For if something goes wrong, I can just switch straight over, and I've got exactly the same layouts with the volume, with the next media, with the just getting it set up and ready to play. So this we're Stream Deck freaks here. I think we just rely on them and we love them.
We sure do. We sure do. All right. Oh, Robert, you still have your hand up. Okay. I was just wondering who that had my hand up still. All right. Cool. What can we talk about next? What have we got on tap for this upcoming week? Anything that we need to test out for any of our Zoom Test Kitchen communities members that you want us to take a look at, that you might be doing, that might be a little funky, a little out there, you might not have done it before, wondering if it's going to break? I'll throw that out there.
I have a question for John, if I can.
Of course.
Yeah. John, have you going to give us an update on your Stream Deck buttons to control Zoom Production Studio?
Well, it works, but it's a fiddle, so I don't know if I would dare give it to other people, but it works. I think I've now got 15 different apps that I'm either finished or I've delivered or I'm still working on. I've got 15 apps because I've put them all into a big folder so I can keep them all organized, and I've got 15 of them now. And probably the neatest one recently is an app that allows me to draw on my touchscreen. And I can draw I can change the color of the button, change the color of the drawing. I can change the thickness. I've got 3 thicknesses, and I've got an undo button, and I've got a clear button. These are all buttons I put on the companion. And I know there's lots of other apps that do this already, but I couldn't find one that had all the specific functions on a companion to work with Stream Decks. So I just sat down in an afternoon and had a chat with Claude, and together we came up with a piece of software to do it.
Yeah, and
then I added a button so you could you could press in one corner, and then you dragged out a square. And I think it was the next show I had with Mike. I was talking about some software and how it worked, and I was able to just pull up the web page on the touchscreen, and then I was able to highlight and circle and highlight, all the text I wanted to talk about. And I just thought, it's the little things you can do with AI and code that are really making the biggest difference to my life at the moment. But
yeah,
every time we do a show, sometime during the show we have a moment, don't we, Mike, when we go, oh, could do an app for that.
Yep, it's unfortunate, but yeah, and everybody laughs, and it's true. And Juju's laughing already because she knows she's a regular viewer of our shows too. So this is our other shows too, Trevor. John and I actually also have 2 other shows that we also do live during the week as well. So again, to let Trevor know too a little more, and Dan, I think, is Dan still here with us? No, Dan left us. Okay, yeah. So Trevor, so in the regards of when John's talking about the different apps, these are specific to Zoom apps, but that one was just a regular app.
That was
PC, John,
that was
right?
just a PC app. Yeah, it was just because I wanted to be able to highlight on my touchscreen, but I'm not one of these people that I don't like the toolbar. I know you have a toolbar because you can do it in Zoom. You can do it natively in Zoom, but I might want to be sharing something that's got nothing to do with Zoom. And I've got a lot of Black Magic stuff around me as well. I haven't got 2ME, but I've got practically everything else. And sometimes the screen I want to share isn't actually in Zoom. I'm taking a screen from another machine, and then I'm using a camera feed to bring it into Zoom. So I can't use Zoom's annotation features. I need something independent. And so I just wrote the app for it. And I would probably release that one. The Production Studio one is based on the position on the screen. So you have to have your system set up so that when you bring Production Studio up, it's always going to be in the same place. Because if you're out by 5 or 10 pixels, then when you click the button to simulate a button press, you're going to miss. But I found that if you have a 9:16, so if you turn your screen round, so you've got a big column of options, you can get lots more Production Studio scenes down the list because you've turned the screen round, and then it works very well. You can just press a button and it simulates the mouse click and it all moves over. But Lois has got much better stories than I have, so I'm going to pass over to her.
I think she's probably got a question for you, actually, John. So stay by.
No, it's for you, Mike.
Oh, okay.
You said that you did 2 other shows. Well, I have no clue as to what it is you're doing. Can you put that information in the chat so we can come and track you down?
Of course. Lord Zoom, are you going to do it, or shall I?
Go.lordzoom.com, probably the best answer.
There we go. And Robert, go ahead.
That's okay. Rohit put in the chat that he also uses the Stream Decks for integrating Resolve, vMix, and P20 Pixel Hue. I actually used the DaVinci Resolve plugin for Stream Decks, and I'll tell you something, it's amazing. It has a lot of functionality, but I found it more difficult to use that plugin on Stream Deck than to use shortcuts on a keyboard for editing. So there's a downside. I think there's not everything is Stream Deckable or AOS-seeable as we'd like it.
Oh, Rohit actually came back and said, not a DaVinci Resolve. It is Resolume. It's a media server software. Yeah, Rohit, I'm actually familiar with that.
My bad, sorry.
Yeah, it's yeah, yeah. Understood, Rohit. It is 2:30 in the morning where you are. Yeah, Rohit should be sleeping, but he actually joined us earlier today on our show, and also, yeah, you're getting
we got him going and he stayed up.
yeah. Yeah, we got him going a few hours ago. Yeah, before
Yeah,
we
because
started.
actually, Mike, because what we were talking about earlier is pretty similar to this, because we were talking about OBS and how AI has changed how people are looking at using OBS, how they're writing more code for it, but also how they can now take AI and write their own version of OBS. So it's all these little apps that you can do. They were all available years ago. The problem was you had to find somebody who written them that you trusted, and it wasn't going to be full of spam, or you had to sit down and actually really code them. Whereas now with AI, you can basically ask AI to go and grab all the code that you need, and then you can just put together the app yourself, or you can put the app together by vibe. So it has changed things, and we were talking about how we think OBS could be changed by this whole new ecosystem.
Yeah, and now that there is the capability of actually making it an actual, I want to use the terminology. Is it add-on, John? Zoom is an
They call them
add-on.
plugins
Well, they do. Okay.
in OBS.
Yeah, so now you can actually integrate Zoom if you wanted to into OBS now.
Yeah.
There's two.
And
There's two
we know
products out there.
four businesses that four people already have
Yeah.
this year. And that's not including Mimo Live and those guys. This is for independent software writers that have created
So
apps.
so this is not Ecamm. This is not Mimo
No.
Live. This is not vMix. This is not Wirecast. These are four more that are actually got the Zoom integration. Mr. Robert.
I just want to say that the challenge, the issue with having someone program a plugin for me, especially, was not that I had to go and do it and test it. It was that if the guy disappeared and I wanted to change, I was stuck. And that's why I value these tools that are available now, because they can be updated in a pretty easy way.
Yeah, and
Using
John and
AI.
I actually talked about that today during the show as well, John.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
that Uncle
it is-
Claude is not too far away.
Yeah, there's a big difference. There is a big difference. Please note, there is a big difference for vibe coding a little tool for your own personal use to automate things, and putting an app out there and giving it into the hands of others, and then having people like Robert worrying that you might fall under a bus, or you might have made a mistake and you won't fix it. So yeah, there's definitely a big difference of doing little tools for yourself or for your own little ecosystem of users, and then the other level of doing them for by Lois, doing them for other people and showing them around. Definitely.
Yeah, and the person that nicknamed it Uncle Claude is now joining us via camera, and he's feeling a little bit better because he came on camera. Hello, Hasbak. So yes, he's the one that officially gave us that. Pete, did you
Has he
want
got the flu
show
filter?
something on the screen there, or was that?
No, I was just showing example of similar apps, and of course, there's the one that Hosmuth and I worked on a while back that does face detection and make sure people are actually paying attention to their meeting, or we think they're paying attention to their meeting. To the meeting.
For the most part, yeah, where you're actually doing a detect via the camera to see if their head's moving or something in their resorts. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Trevor, hopefully we're not overwhelming you, but we've all got different backgrounds. So
No, this is great. This is great. I love it.
sweet.
Hey Pete, did that app you wrote with Hasmuk manage to catch a recording that I'd be playing back as my video feed? So if I recorded myself moving my head around and then played it back through OBS.
I honestly don't know, because I was using Apple's built-in face detection, and I don't know if it's smart enough to understand that. What Hosmuth and I were trying to, for oddly enough, we had the same requirement for different purposes. I wanted to make sure that when we're teaching something to the kids, that they have their camera on and they're watching, right? Not doing something else.
Yeah.
Osmoth is actually using it for when they're teaching something, he's taking attendance. I guess that's the best way I could describe it.
Right. And Roland was saying, were you able to and not loop the video was his question. Are you guys able to tell if somebody's being clever or not that clever?
I certainly never tested that. And again, I'm back to we're relying, at least I'm relying on Apple's face detection framework to do that. So I'm feeding it the Zoom ISO image, right, into actually it doesn't even need Zoom ISO. It just logs on as a Zoom client and looks for that particular person and cycles through everyone in the list, everyone who's signed in, and says, is there a face there? And every 5 seconds it goes through and says, is there a face there? Right?
Yeah, very cool.
We have tried it with somebody putting a teddy bear in front of it, and it says, no, there's no face there.
Ah, there you go. So it's smart enough to at least detect.
Apple's face detection is smart enough. And I keep emphasizing the point. I didn't do anything. I asked, like, it wasn't Uncle Claude, it was Cousin Codex. But I said I have the Zoom development kit. I have my Blackmagic kit, which it turns out I didn't need. And you have Apple's face detection framework available to you. Can you figure out if somebody's really there or not? And it said yes, and it built me an app. Now I started off with Hosmos app, which was just saying, do people have their camera on? And I took it one step farther because his was an Electron app. Mine turned into a Swift app, excuse me, to do that piece of work. So it could call the framework cleanly.
What happens when there's a virtual webcam?
If there's a virtual webcam, it's not showing a face,
No, but what if it is showing a face?
It doesn't know any better.
Yeah, because it's not too hard to record an hour of yourself sitting in front of a computer and then play that back as your virtual webcam, right?
I agreed. There's no way.
Like, I think a poll every 5 minutes would be a better way to check engagement. If no one's answering the poll, they're probably not there, right?
I tried that. All that did was cause people to sign off.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
I developed it because in the medical event, people had to be present and in attendance 70% of the time over the 3 days before they can earn what we call the continuous professional development points. So this app was very useful. And what it does do is send notification if the camera is off. And also have a view of percentage of cameras that are on or off so that the talent can see how many people are actually now in present and in attendance before they launch into their presentation. So from that point of view, it's been very useful.
This is an ongoing discussion when you think about it. And do people have their cameras off and not paying attention because the speaker or the subject matter is not of any interest to them, or are they not interested in what the speaker is saying? It's an ongoing topic. But I understand your use case, Asmak, that you're trying to get a basis and a measurement to judge whether someone should get certified or not.
There's a lot of valid reasons for people not to have their webcams on in a meeting. Like, I understand you're going to say this is a professional designation thing, but socioeconomic status, maybe someone's living in their car, or maybe they live in a place where they're being abused, or some, like, there are reasons people don't want you to see their surroundings that aren't always that they're not paying attention, right?
Yeah, and again, of course, we'll pick on Rohit a little bit, but it is 2:30 in the morning where he is, so he's not going to turn on his audio or video right now, because chances are he's going to pick somebody up that isn't that far away. And there you go. And Rohit's laughing at me, so he knows that's exactly what I'm talking about. So there you go. Yeah.
Well, the certification option in Zoom Webinars Plus and Zoom Events, doesn't go that far to look to see, is their camera on, but it does ask how much attendance have they had? Have they had interaction in chat? Have they answered polls? And I think they're coming up with not just have they answered a poll, but how many questions and that sort of thing. So there are a variety of options there. If your goal is to not just measure engagement, but to actually provide certification, nothing that we do is going to be perfect, but the fact that that's configurable and encourages trainers to inject some additional items. I would personally never put in a poll, are you there? Yes or no?
I would never put that poll there either. I would put some meaningful question.
Right. So if you're really going to try and get and engage people and, put up real things, what is your opinion? And it would be, really nice if, we could also tie in to Stream Alive as well and, participation in that they have their own metrics. But there's
I think the point of me bringing it up was it's simple for us now with the advent of AI and all these toolkits, for us to create these bespoke apps. I wasn't trying to solve world peace.
Yeah,
we'll give you till next Tuesday to do that.
Yeah, I live in the wrong country for that.
I was saying my application is a little bit more narrow in the sense that this is a refresher course for doctors who want to write their specialty exam. And the content providers want to continuously measure if they are effective or not. So the entire 3 days is polls based. That means they have multiple choice questions around the various specialty topics. And I, for the first time in June this year, I ran a lot of data analytics that I gave to the faculty. And now they're looking at the outcomes. That means who managed to get through the specialty exam and what was their contribution or engagement, both at the learner management platform to go through all their content and the live participation, so that we can see what a correlation is.
Sure. I used to support a web conferencing app called Big Blue Button, and it does engagement scores. How many times did you turn on your microphone? How many times did you raise your hand? How many times did you speak? A whole bunch of things, and then gives you a score at the end of the session for each participant.
Mm-hmm. Very cool. Very cool. All right. Our
Don't worry,
YouTube
Mike, I've
audience
done that
is-
one already.
You say that again. You've done you.
Don't worry, I've done that
just
one
now?
already.
Oh, you've done that one already. It's all finished. It's ready to go. Hilarious. All right. So Trevor, let's just dig at you a little more. So are you just using meetings, or are you actually using webinar? Do you Webinar Plus events? Do you go that far, or is it just meetings?
Strictly for Zoom ISO, just for the production environment that we're in to pull in remote guests and sources and everything like that. So I only started using it 6 months ago with Zoom ISO. So yeah. So my work is primarily in the production started using Companion probably 4 or 5 years ago, and then switched over to buttons about 6 months ago with this new install. And I just prefer it for the setup. And we have 20 plus connections on it now between decoders and encoders to send videos sources everywhere. So, yeah.
Cool. Robert.
So very, 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 very niche from what I'm learning in the Zoom space compared to everything else that you guys are doing. But this has been good.
Yeah, not entirely, because I know Robert has used Zoom ISO quite a bit. Go ahead, Robert.
Trevor, have you used Zoom ISO at 60 FPS for anything?
Primarily 30. I haven't really touched 60 much. But I've been reading through this release that Andy sent for all the release things, and there's so much in here. I've had one of the main things that they showed, I think, was that Blackmagic video source, and I had tried initially when I set it up to get SDI into the deck link to bring that program feed in, and was unsuccessful. Just had a ton of issues with that, and ended up using NDI instead. And so I'm excited to test that out in this version to get that working again. So, yeah.
Okay.
I'll have to try out 60. I was reading through that here in the documentation, so I'll have to test it out and see.
Trevor,
do you actually use 60 FPS in your pipeline?
Typically it's 30, and so I don't know that we have a need for 60 at the moment. But maybe.
Yeah, just take into consideration that you need the
bandwidth
enhanced.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know about that, Trevor? Okay, good.
Yeah.
All right.
Yep. Need more bandwidth, that's for sure.
Bandwidth for sure, but you also need the enhanced media add-on option.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was reading about that as well. So that's an add-on to Zoom that I would need.
Yes.
Correct.
Got it.
Now, if you're already just going after the Zoom ISO products, that it's probably better off if you do get that, because they bundle in all the liminal apps included in that.
Yeah, I think we're on the events license.
Okay. That would,
pretty
yeah,
sure.
then but again, you still have to, if you're on the events license, then you still have to get that if you want the 60 frames a second.
Okay, perfect.
And Johnny and Ray, correct me if I'm wrong on that one. I see you both looking at me going,
my usual question around, if you've got a Zoom events license is, which Zoom events license do you have? And did you buy the most expensive or the least expensive that you could get? It sounds like you're just using it to have access to the Zoom ISO products.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you might, depending on what kind of license you got, you might look at the Zoom enhanced media, because it includes that. And I think it's probably cheaper just to get the Zoom enhanced media if you've got an annual subscription price, even at the monthly. At 100 users, 100 attendees, the enhanced media add-on might be cheaper. Reach out to me. I'll send you my email address.
Okay.
And
Cool.
that is one of the things that I'm sort of the go-to guy for is Zoom events licensing. I understand it a little bit better.
Yeah, I think initially I just did the base license, and then Zoom ISO wasn't working with it, so I had to go to the next one up. And then I got it working. So yeah, we'll have to chat. We'll look at that and see.
Cool.
Thank you.
so yes, Trevor, we're not Zoom employees, so that's why we get to say, we're trying to match you up. That's why I asked you if you're actually using Webinar Plus, or events, and you got events because you thought you needed it because you wanted ISO. So
yeah, it might only be webinars or plus. I'll have to look and see.
Yeah, if you've got events, you for sure have Webinar Plus, which means you also have access to Zoom Production Studio. I don't know if you play with that or not, because that could be interesting too.
I just like I said, I pretty much just got it for ISO, so I haven't really poked around. So
yeah, so
I'll have to go through that and then come back here.
So at a high level, Zoom Production Studio is what John and I run on our shows every week. And I'm the one that's running Production Studio in the background.
Got it. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Just
And
an
I would-
idea, Trevor,
Go, Rob.
because we have a use case where I work with a broadcast company that also uses Zoom to bring in remote feeds, similar way to you. And I have a contract with them where I actually pull in the same feeds from the same. This is a Zoom event that we do it in, and I keep Zoom Production Studio as a backup if their main pipeline goes down. And it's a really interesting concept because you said you don't know Zoom Production Studio yet, but with Zoom Production Studio, you can hand off the tech management or the tech director role to whoever you want. So you set it up, but you don't have to have that role, or you can just follow what's going on and duplicate it and keep it as the backup, which is running if you have a very, very high profile type event. It's one of the things that I do, and it's actually very, very clever to do it that way.
Very cool.
And it's really cheap when you from a production point of view, because you're using exactly the same sources. You've got the same license for Zoom Production Studio. You're just providing a feed in for an RTMP feed or a feed that is going out with a slight delay compared to the main production, but it's a backup.
Yeah.
And
Very
Trevor,
interesting.
this is the way that I've also thought about using it as well. Is if you're from the broadcast world, you know how there's like a master control, right? So I would treat Zoom Production Studio as master control and record in all your other sites to be brought in as individual feeds into Zoom Production Studio. Now you're in the cloud. So they're going to Zoom the closest Zoom server to wherever they are. That's bringing it into Zoom Production Studio. You're mixing it in Zoom Production Studio out. Now, if you want to add a different layer on top of that, then that's where the Production Studio is going to get some features, but it's not going to replace like a vMix or an OBS or a hardware switcher, at least as we speak right now, as we are live here on YouTube. That is not their plans. But if you did need, like Robert was saying, a backup to, let's say you're running, and this is something, I don't know if Andy's still on here either, but Andy 2 weeks ago actually did a test where he was actually running Ecamm, and he brought all of the sources into Ecamm and was doing the mixing. But what he also did too was test to see if Ecamm dropped, how could he recover using Zoom Production Studio. And all you would have to do is then duplicate your scenes that you have in your software video switcher in Zoom Production Studio, at least closest to it. If not, at least have Zoom Production Studio be your technical difficulties or your welcome or your end or whatever could be in Production Studio, but you could actually be mixing everything on site, but you're still sending. See what I'm saying? So that's And on top of that too, you could also use Zoom, whatever platform you're going out to, you can RTMP out from Zoom, and you're going cloud to cloud there too.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah, Robert, go ahead.
Appreciate it.
That was my use case throwing at you.
There's one more use case that we have, and I don't mean to just pound on you, Trevor, but there's we work with broadcast companies that require sign language translators, and Zoom has the best module for online sign language. If you haven't used it, you should try it out. It is absolutely brilliant, and you can get an isolated feed that is dedicated just for the interpreters that are doing the sign language and have them change over without any problems at all. And you can keep one feed that's going out and just put that and superimpose it or whatever you want to put in into your output. It's really, really good, and it really works well and stable.
Very cool. I'll have to take a look at that. Thanks for all the advice and help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're not here to overwhelm, but if you bring us a scenario, chances are we might have even done it, or at least we can walk you through it and sort of flow chart it and even maybe mock it, like set up a mock meeting where we try different stuff. That's why we're in the kitchen.
Yeah,
or break it.
Break stuff here.
Or break it, like.
That's right. Yeah. Again, our theme song actually says we don't want to wreck, right? Got no wreck at the end. Yeah. So we're trying not to wreck things. You know, again, we'd rather wreck it here than you wreck it when you're getting paid to.
Always. Yep.
Right?
I love it.
And again, too, if you ever want to come in and just be in, and so you want to practice and you want some live sources, you could always hook up to us too. As a Zoom ISO, we'll give you a co-host so you can actually come in. Then if you want to do some practicing of Zoom ISO and play around with the feeds with us live here, many of the Zoom Test Kitchen community come and do that as well.
That's very cool. I appreciate that. I'll have to do that
Right.
at some point. Yeah.
You know, just don't freak us out by all of a sudden try to calm somebody with the new comms and going, "Hi guys."
Yeah.
Zit.
I am excited to test that out. We'll see how it goes.
Very cool. Yeah. Again, if you do need any, suggestions or even need interpreters or sign language people, Robert is our definite guru when it comes to that stuff. So let him know. Yes, he's out in Poland, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have access to all kinds of people in North America as well. He does.
Yeah.
And Robert, no, I'm not your salesperson either, but I did a good job, I think.
You did an excellent job. Just keep in mind that you were talking about Poles, and initially there are 38 million Poles here in Poland. So.
That's it. That's right. All right, cool. And as usual, our YouTube audience are enjoying what we're talking about, but are not being very interactive. So I'll throw up this slide again and do it one more time before we wrap up for this week's show, because everybody's a bit tongue-tied and brain dead after Randy was here. If you do have any other questions for us before we wrap up this week on Zoom Test Kitchen, let me know in YouTube chat. And of course, if you're not able to go on, and Rohit, you got a question, of course, let us know in our Zoom meeting chat as well.
And not to forget about what Jonathan showed us, because Andy did the main work, but Jonathan just showed us some really, really brilliant stuff.
Right, so Andy did the software side, so the virtual side, where Andy did the hardware side, or Jonathan did the hardware side. I was trying to pay attention to everything.
Jonathan did.
Yeah.
Through the deck link and bringing in.
Yeah, the deck link quad, it looks like. Was it? Yeah.
Isn't it just amazing at the end when Andy talked about doing all of this stuff on an M1 and an M2? That's all you need. It's quite amazing, the capabilities of the M series processors on the Macs.
Yeah, and as of this week, I don't know if I've actually saw the actual Apple blast. They secretly are bringing out M6s, Mac Minis. It was kind of hush hush. It was I watched Leo Laporte. They were a little dumbfounded because, again, within a week or two, supposedly there's going to be a brand new iPhone. Again, I'm not Apple. I'm not in the Apple verse, but when it comes to new iPhone, I think there's going to be a bendable iPhone or a foldable iPhone, I believe. But yeah, the only ones in Canada we can get now are the M6s and the M5 Pros chips.
And I think they released the M5 Ultra on the Studio as well.
Could be.
So I need to do some testing. We have a M1 Ultra with I think 128 gigabytes of RAM running ISO. And I've run into some issues with it crashing. Granted, we're using almost all 16 feeds at any given point. And so I need to look at some more data with some crashing issues that I've had and see what's going on there. So
now, is that 16 virtual feeds or 16
So bringing in 16 feeds and going out over two DeckLink quad 8s. So
on one machine.
yeah. So
Mm.
I think that it's getting overpowered.
I
Looking
feel
at
it
moving.
as soon as you
Looking
said
at
that to me, it
moving,
started to feel
splitting
like it
that.
to me. Yeah, cut it right in the middle, right
Yeah.
in half.
Yeah, we've been looking at that. So I think that's the problem.
Trevor, I pull in for recording purposes around 12 on average feeds, ISO feeds on an M1 Mac Mini.
Oh wow!
And when I had that issue, I started having issues with it, and I moved it
Mhm.
across to an M2 Pro. But the M2 Pro has a 10 gigabit Ethernet port, and I think that's where you may want to
Oh.
look at is the Ethernet port and if it's not clogging up at that point.
Oh, interesting. I'm gonna write
Yeah.
that down.
No, that's perfectly fair, Robert. Absolutely perfectly fair. Now, again, too, just because the Mac has a 10 gig port, you better make sure that the switch that it's plugging into better have 10 gig too.
No,
Yeah.
Mac has a 1 gig port.
Oh, that one is one? Okay.
You have
Yeah,
to specify to get the 10 gig. So
you
you
have
need
to
to check that
specify.
you did the update.
Yeah. I did just upgrade all the networking to 10 gigs, so that's not. I'll be set there. But yeah, because it's an M1 Ultra, I don't know that it has 10 gig. I'll have to find out.
If you didn't
Right.
order it specifically with a 10 gig, it would have come with the default 1 gig.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Rohit's letting us know that the new M6s are by default now all 2.5 gig.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, exciting.
Yeah, because again, Trevor, again, it's all going to come down to bandwidth coming in now too into the
Yeah.
ISO.
Yeah.
16 feeds is a lot of bandwidth.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you want to make sure that you're doing the 80-20 rule. And that's from me being in the network industry for 3 decades. Don't
Yep.
go over 80% on that nick. You're asking for trouble.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yep.
And what I mean by that is like, yeah, so I'm talking, 8 gig out of your 10 gig, you're done. No more, no less.
Yeah.
Because it's going to start hitting you're going to start losing packets. And you'll see it. Video does not tolerate packets being lost, especially raw packets that are coming from Zoom.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. And on top of that too, make sure that if you are running 10 gigs for those, then also what I would do is make sure that the main backbone out of your switch, and you'll look at me weird and go, why? But you want to make sure that because you're running multiple 10 gigs in the actual switch, you want to make sure that your backhaul out of the switch is much better than that. That it's not 10 gig, because then you still have your bottleneck.
Yeah.
Is the actual uplink out of the switch now too, right?
Mm-hmm.
You'll never get true 10 gig for every port then if your only uplink is 10 gig out of the switch.
Yeah.
You're going to be limited to that 10 gig. So that if that's on one port, then you don't even need the switch.
Yep.
Right? So
yeah,
just keep the networking math in check. If let's say it's an 8-port switch, then you would have to make sure that you'd have 100 gig uplink coming out of the switch to be able to handle the 8 10s. Right? Again, leaving that 20%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead,
Cool.
Ray.
I got a little bit separate thing. Frank, if you're here, take a look at your chat. His question about automatically update versus update now. I popped into the Zoom community, and Alexis wants to know what path you use to actually get there. Menu wise, she's trying to research that and possibly send that up as a suggestion. So trying to help you out there.
There you go. So that's breaking news that you
Hold
might
on.
get Frankie's custom date.
I just had a shower, so I didn't see any of this, so I just have to read what's in the chat.
Yeah, no problem. I just put it in a couple seconds ago.
Yeah, in community chat. Frank, you have access to our community channel. Ray put it in there.
Oh, in Discord?
No. In our YouTube.
I asked you a direct question in the meeting chat.
Okay.
Alexis from Zoom wants to know what path you got to the new web experience page. I only sent her the screenshot of just the option, and I didn't grab the screenshot of the whole page.
So yeah, it's in the admin panel, like not. It depends if your admin has it turned on or off. If you're just a regular user, you may not see it. But if you're an admin, it's in your settings. It's at the top, I think, on every page. But to get to the actual menu, at the very top of the admin page in the settings menu, there's a hyperlink that'll take you right to it. But just give me a second and I'll go find it.
While he's finding that, Ray, you just blew my mind when you said that Alexis from Zoom. I was trying to figure out, how did Amazon's Alexis get into Zoom? When did that happen?
No, Alexis Brown is the lady who runs the entire community as well as part of the documentation team at Zoom. So yeah.
So yes,
I was
Trevor, we got
surprised
connections.
anybody was still there. I mean, it's after 5 o'clock. A lot of those people on the East Coast. So,
I just want to make sure, like, just for clarity's sake, I'm on an enterprise plan, so it may be different if you're not on an enterprise plan.
I told her you were an enterprise user from a Canadian university. So
yeah. So if you want, I can screen share and just show you.
yeah, that'd be cool. Or
Yeah.
pop it in and I'll...
Yep. So
Go ahead, Frank.
So if you get to your account settings menu, if you click on this hyperlink, review when to update, it just scrolls you down to the part of the page. It's in other.
Okay, cool.
Does that help?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
So as I was saying, Trevor, yeah, we got friends in higher places at Zoom. So not only Andy and Jonathan, and we also work with Josh and Mike and all the team at Zoom Events too. And so if you want to learn more about the Zoom Events platform, let Ray, John, and I know, because we're in there all the time when it comes to the event stuff.
Cool. All right, just to be a little more clear, I'm going to do this.
Where do you go to once you click on that? Yeah.
So I'm in account settings, right? Account settings.
Yep.
And then I think it's on every page, but it's in general. And then it's in other. So settings, general, other, but the shortcut will just take you there.
All right, cool.
As an admin, as a regular user,
yeah.
Yep, your admin can expose this, try the new experience, or not expose it, and that'll depend on your particular circumstances.
Thanks. Passing that along now.
All right, and I'm getting some feedback from YouTube from a Zachary. Do you know a Zachary, Trevor? Because I'm being told Trevor's the man.
That is Zach. He runs Mountain Outpost. Yep.
There
He's been in another meeting and I've been bouncing back and forth with him through text, updating him on some things. So
cool. Yeah. So there you go. So he's watching us. Hi, Zach. How you doing? So yeah, I've been picking on Trevor a little bit, but he's a newbie here. So we were trying to figure out what he does.
It's how we make people feel welcome.
I love it. It's great.
There you go. Very cool. All right. So Zachary was the last person, and he didn't have a question for Trevor because Trevor's on the panelist panel. So
Zach needs to buy Trevor an M5 Ultra. Come on, come on.
There you go.
Oh, that's funny.
There you go. We're trying. Trevor will help. It's now officially on YouTube. Zach's great stuff, guys. Thanks, Zach. Very cool. Well, he's working on all the toys. He says, Trevor, is this true?
We're trying to. We'll see.
That's it.
No, he gets to make the decisions. So
yeah.
What cameras are you guys using?
There's a good question.
Lots of different cameras. Let's see. We're using Blackmagic cameras in the studios for the commentators, and then we've got a few drones, Mavic 3s and 4s.
Sure.
And then using just like Panasonic and Sony cameras out in the field,
like
for
FX3s
commentators.
or FX5s?
No,
or...
I think mostly camcorders. I don't handle
Oh,
as
okay.
much of the
Sure.
cameras
Sure.
in the field. Yeah.
You more
I
of
think
an
that's
IT
what the
guy
setup is
or
now.
a broadcast
Yeah.
engineer?
Yeah, mostly the broadcast engineering side, and
Cool.
I'll do all the technical directing for the races as we produce them as well. So
that's cool, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, so hopefully I've given you a little more pointers on how I TD our shows. And again, I'm doing this one, of course, is in meeting, and right now I'm just spotlighting and non-spotlighting. But in when John and I do our shows Tuesdays and Fridays, I'm using Zoom Production Studio, and again, we're in Webinar Plus.
Cool. Yeah, I'll have to hop in on those and kind of see what that is.
Yeah, so
how it works.
It's actually even if you just set up yourself just a dummy Webinar Plus meeting, right? Like you just do like a regular meeting where it's just you coming. You could set up your own Webinar Plus where you just coming. You should have actually access to Backstage, which is really cool. So you got to think of the Webinar Plus more like you're doing a stage gig. So it would be more of, you'd have your talent backstage until they were on stage, on the physical stage, right?
Gotcha.
So it's got all those capabilities. Production Studio can actually now be backstage or on stage. So it's more beneficial for me to have Production Studio on stage because I might be coming in and out all the time, as John and I talked during the show, and you can see that on our archives. Or I could actually just strictly be backstage. But again, I have to make sure that I'm getting all the feeds and such brought into Production Studio that are also in backstage or on stage at that point.
Got it.
Trevor, is there any input coming into you from people through Zoom? Do you do people through sort of the external camera system, or does everybody come through Zoom, including commentators and stuff like that?
So everything right now is coming through Zoom, other than we use Teradek backpacks when we send out, runners or bikes out, whether that's with Starlinks or with the 5G as well, to follow the leaders of races. And then those come in through decoders, but the main like drone pilots and field commentators come through Zoom. And then right now we have just recently we've gone from having those commentators in the studio in Phoenix, and they're on site, so that's coming in on its own feed as well. And then they're commentating from usually the finish line at those races.
Yeah. The cool part about backstage is that you can leave the backstage open and push just the people that need, you need the Zoom ISO for out to the onstage area. And then if somebody really needs to talk to you because they're down or whatever, but they're still on Zoom, they can drop to backstage and talk to people and not go out to the live feed.
Gotcha.
I don't know how much you use or how you work the audio, but
yeah, right now everybody's on Unity intercom. That's what we use for all of our comms because everything's being switched off of a 4ME ATEM constellation. So that's what we're using right now to do all the video, and then audio's through a Midas with Dante, set up with Dante and everything like that. So
yeah,
Zoom ISO over Dante and everything.
Yeah, so an X32 equivalent of Midas.
Yeah, it's like the 32 M32R Live, I think is what it is. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And way back in the day, Trevor, I sent you actually in chat. I used to actually work at cycling.tv. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh,
website,
cool.
Eons ago. So yeah, we used to be the guys that used to be in the UK all the time with the cop motorbikes and having the camera guy sitting up backwards.
Yep.
Yeah.
Just like the Tour de France. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah. We used to, yeah. So
That's
again,
a great time.
all different stuff that we've done over
Yeah,
the
that's
years.
cool. Very cool.
Cool. On that note, X2000, HX2000 Zachary's talking about.
There you go. He knows. He knows. He knows all the things. So
Very cool. Yeah. And of course, Zach, if you want to join us as well, Trevor knows how to get in. So by all means, both of you guys
Yeah,
come
he
on.
said, what he said. I wish I had time to be on the Zoom call. So next time I'll drag him in next time.
Of course, Trevor, anytime you guys want to show up, and again, if there's some wacky stuff that you guys want to do, if anything, I think our community will actually love to hear how you guys are bringing the drones into Zoom.
Yeah, for sure.
We haven't really dived into that too much because reliability is the huge thing, obviously, because drones are drones, right? So
yeah,
when it comes to keeping them reliable, making sure that you're getting a constant feed from the drone, it's not cutting up, it's not pixelating, making sure that you're dragging it into, is it from the drone, is it going directly into Zoom?
Yeah. It's coming
sweet.
out of the controller and we're going straight into a capture card through Zoom, through a cam link. Yep.
Sweet. Yeah. So that, that would be impressive for us as well, because, some of us might want to get into adding drones to our shows, right?
Yeah. Super, super simple. That is the workflow. The biggest thing for us is internet. Like I was talking about earlier with Starlink and making sure that's the biggest issue that we have. And when we see pixelation is connection to satellites. So
yeah. And again, from my old school days, we never did anything over IP. I was doing it old school where the trucks had to be on site.
Yeah.
So the satellite trucks, the sat trucks. So
very cool.
I am from that era, just like Mr. Ray Harwood is from the COBOL, Fortran, Pascal area. I knew I'd get a laugh out of him.
Yeah.
Oh, Zachary says, got this playing in the background while I'm on a production call with some event stakeholders. All right, but I'll join in the future meeting. Trevor and I would love that. You got it. Not a problem, Zach. By all means. I'm sure that we can easily learn off of you guys some of the toys that you guys are currently using and just spread we're here more to spread the wealth, right? There's never always going to be never enough gigs, but if there's tech that we can all share with each other, that's while we're here. And of course, if you guys are really in depth into Zoom with everything, then yeah, it makes it that much more important for you guys to come and join us and share the tech that you guys are doing.
Yeah, for sure. Next time I'm down in the studio in Phoenix, I'll definitely join. And this is every Friday then?
Every Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern.
Cool. Yeah, I'll definitely have to do that the next time I'm down there. I think I'm down there in a couple of weeks for a race, so that would be cool.
Oh yeah. Well, you'd freak us out if you if you actually could zoom in a live camera for us during the show. That we would freak out. Okay, that would just be I don't know if that would actually beat Andy numbers that we had today, but it would get pretty close.
How many people were on the YouTube today with Andy being here? Did you get
25, and we had 25 within our meeting today too.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people watch the recording too, right?
Oh yeah. It was definitely asked. That was one of the first questions. It almost felt like I was in a regular Zoom meeting when that person asked, "So, is this going to be recorded?" And it's like, yes.
I know it has to be sometime, but I mean, for a lot of people, they're working, right? Like they can't come here live. They have to wait till their shift is over and then they watch the recording, right?
Of course. And then, or you're like some people that might be from Jamaica, and he's hiding behind my little screen right now, that listens to us in the background while he's working too.
Sure, of course.
Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, absolutely. But it's that time of the show, gang, where we're going to wrap it up because everybody's awful quiet, even though we still got a lot.
Before we go, I just wanted to know if Mike was going to buy my new Mac Studio for me. Come on, Mike. It's only 18,299 Canadian. Come on.
Come on. Oh my God. Yeah. And how many terabytes of hard drive do you want?
That's the thing. The RAM and the hard drive is what really cranked the price up. Like I went from 96 gigs of RAM to 256. That was $4,000 just to put that RAM in there.
And they have a 512 option coming in October, they say. So.
Oh, and I went for 16 terabytes of storage.
25K probably.
That was $7,000 for this, more than $7,000 for the storage.
Yep.
Hard drives and RAM, eh?
Yeah. Now you got to, Trevor, you got to take into consideration, Frank and I are both Canadian. So again, you know, we don't have the nice American pricing. Okay. Ours is this way.
Yeah.
Okay. Add a good, 20-ish%.
I need a GoFundMe or something.
I'm thinking, yeah, a GoFundMe Mac. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And I can't say that too fast because that actually might come out wrong. You got it. But on
Yes,
that
be
note,
very careful.
Yeah, I understood. On that note, it's time for Trevor and Zach to actually be into what we usually do at the end of the show, which is that's right. It's Zoom Test Kitchen karaoke time.
You don't have to participate.
No. But I want everybody to participate that are still watching. So here we go.
Welcome to the Zoom Test Kitchen where the magic happens live. Every Friday we're on air testing tech to thrive. From screen share to breakout rooms, we push Zoom to its max. So sit back, relax, and let's see what's in our tech hacks. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. We'll dive into the settings, explore every single tab. Make sure your mic is clear, your camera not a drab. We'll show you how to host like a pro, manage like a king. With Zoom Test Kitchen, you'll be zooming with a zing. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. Whether you're new to Zoom or an expert in disguise, we've got tips and tricks, we'll open up your eyes. From polls to quizzes, we test functionalities. Join us live, see what Zoom does with these. So if your meetings lag or you can't share your screen, or if your audio echoes like you're stuck in between, we've got solutions, we'll show you how it's done. Zoom Test Kitchen, where Zoom fun has begun. Zooming in, we're testing it all. Live on YouTube each week. From audio to video, no feature we won't tweak. We're the Zoom Test Kitchen crew, here to innovate. Join the fun, learn the tech, don't be late. So tune in, don't miss out on this tech fest we lead. Every Friday, Zoom Test Kitchen, where you'll succeed. We'll make your Zoom meeting smooth, keep the tech in check. In the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back. No We're the Zoom Test Kitchen, we've got your back.
All right, Zoom Test Kitchen community. Thanks everyone for joining us this week on the Zoom Test Kitchen. And we'll be going to the lounge momentarily once we sign off of YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel to let YouTube and Zoom know how much you love our content. Yes, we're here every Friday for Trevor and Zach and everybody else that wants to join us at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. So see everyone next week and have a great weekend to another edition. And you never know what David and I have for you up next week on the Zoom Test Kitchen. Take care, everyone.